Sun Xian, being younger, had a relatively keener sense of the internet. I think this Lu Chang is about to blow up. Also, first the technical analysis, then the police report and clarification, and now this article, and even the account that published it. Don't you think Jiang Xiang might have paid a PR firm? This was something Zhou Mingyuan knew about. When I contacted Jiang Xiang, he said the PR plan was done by the current CEO of Lingxi. Sun Xian was surprised. Isn't Jiang Xiang the CEO of Lingxi? No, Zhou Mingyuan said. It's a freshman from the computer science department named Wei Bai. Sun Xian, just a freshman, that's incredible. The younger generation is truly formidable, Gan Wangchun said with a smile. Mingyuan, you haven't done an exclusive interview with such an outstanding student. Zhou Mingyuan was speechless. He had only just found out about this himself, hadn't he? Generally, in the days leading up to a holiday, everyone was in no mood for work or study, their minds solely on the break. This time was different. People were still not in the mood to study, but their minds were occupied not with holiday plans, but with the Jiangxiang affair. They had watched as Haidai's official blog released the investigation results and clarification, and even reposted Jiangxiang owes me 3 years of salary. Discussions about the article and Lu Chang himself remained heated, and everyone at Lingxi was in a state of extreme excitement. Everyone except Lu Chang himself, who was in a state of shock, thinking, there are so many people. The impact of this interview was far more intense than he had imagined. Comments from onlookers had already flooded his Weibo comment section. More terrifyingly, besides the onlookers, many junior schoolmates, both from his university and others, were private messaging him to ask for certain secrets to conducting experiments. Unable to cope, Lu Chang set up an auto-reply for his private messages. The secret techniques of this school are not to be shared with outsiders. Among them, some even wanted to pay a hefty price for Lu Chang's valuable experience. Lu Chang scoffed. In the past, he would have sold it without a second thought. But could things be the same now? They were about to go to the capital to discuss a partnership with Huaxing Technology. Takeoff was imminent. For this trip to the capital, Lingxi was sending a total of 4 people, including Wei Bai. Lu Chang was one of them. His flight was at 8-something the next morning. Lu Chang finished packing his luggage and paced around his home. He tapped open WeChat several times to check the group chat. Hilarious. There were no new messages at all. Everyone was exceptionally quiet. Could it be that he was the only one whose heart was racing from this recent series of events? He thought back to when Wei Bai had just joined the Brain Computer Interface group. Back then, Yu Heguang had treated him completely as a mascot, not expecting a freshman to be of any real help. Unexpectedly, the mascot turned out to be truly lucky. In just half a year, everything had become so different. Tomorrow is a big day. I should check my fortune. Lu Chang wanted to consult the traditional almanac, but after a moment's thought, he gave up. These few days must all be good days. Auspicious for all matters. No taboos whatsoever. Tomorrow is auspicious for travel and praying for blessings. Yu Heguang was having a meal with Jiang Xiang, speaking as he looked at the almanac on his phone. Jiang Xiang didn't believe in such things, but his mood and state were as good as when he had first founded the Makers Club at Haidai. Back then, he didn't know what his future would hold, but he was full of confidence and faith in everything he was doing. This moment was just like that time. Old Yu, how long has it been since we've had a meal like this? Jiang Xiang asked. Yu Heguang, don't we eat together every day? Jiang Xiang smiled. I mean, in such a relaxed state. Yu Heguang also smiled. We're not the same as we were before. Right? They were not the same as before. Neither of them specified what was different, but they both knew it in their hearts. If Wei Bai hadn't joined Lingxi back then, Lingxi might have already been gone. Money, management, marketing, hope, morale. Wei Bai had brought them far too much. I heard our CEO Wei has to meet his mother-in-law this trip. Yu Heguang sighed. Look at that. Just a freshman, and he's already successful in both career and love. I'm about to graduate, and I'm still single. But luckily, I have you, my senior, to keep me company at the bottom. You've only had that one relationship, and the whole internet knows about it, which is just, ha ha ha. By the way, have you heard from the police? Slandering on such a large scale should constitute a crime, right? We have to file a private criminal prosecution in court, Jiang Xiang said. Let's wait until after the May Day holiday. Yu Heguang was surprised. Senior, I thought you would give up on the lawsuit. I can't, Jiang Xiang said slowly. It involves Lingxi. That's true, Yu Heguang said. Wang Ying is trying to destroy Lingxi. But what's in it for her? Yu Heguang couldn't figure it out. You two had what could be considered an amicable breakup, right? Jiang Xiang, there's been too much going on these past 2 days, I forgot to tell you. This matter isn't about me, it's about Wei Bo. Jiang Xiang explained the whole story as Wei Bo had told him, and Yu Heguang's head was spinning. Damn, it's like something out of a TV show, Yu Heguang said, a little worried. So, will our trip to the capital go smoothly? To be honest, I'm not sure either, Jiang Xiang said with a smile. But Wei Bo seems quite calm, so it should be fine, right? If it doesn't go smoothly, we still have a university. Yu Heguang also smiled. That's true. I heard from Lu Chang that his advisor's wife cried after reading that article. Jiang Xiang owes me 3 years of salary. She even gave his advisor a scolding, saying the kid has suffered so much these past few years. Lu Chang looks so mature for his age. I have no idea how his advisor's wife could bring herself to call him a kid. In our teacher's eyes, I guess we're all still kids. Jiang Xiang was silent for a moment, then said, a couple of years ago, I felt like such a mess, I was too ashamed to go back and see our professor. I never expected that when I was slandered this time, the professor would contact me immediately, saying he believed I was innocent and would ask the university to investigate and issue a public statement. Yu Heguang, once the new materials paper is published, Professor Wang will definitely be proud of you. Jiang Xiang smiled. Looking back, there were tough times, but I met a lot of benefactors along the way. Without these people, what could Jiang Xiang have accomplished alone? Heguang, you're one of my benefactors too. It should be the other way around, Yu Heguang said with a smug look. Lingxi is on the verge of success. Thanks to you, I'll probably achieve financial freedom at a young age. Jiang Xiang, we definitely will. The two reminisced about a few years ago when the Makers Club only had one activity room. Back then, they would gather around and talk about making brain-computer interfaces in the future. Back then, a team from Caltech enabled a quadriplegic patient to type using a robotic arm controlled by thought. Johns Hopkins School of Medicine invented a robotic finger controlled by EEG signals, and a team at Davis surgically implanted electrodes in the brains of ALS patients to help restore their ability to speak. Now, Lingxi has already applied for a patent, only lacking enough data to support commercial approval. By tattooing, this new type of biocompatible ink is printed onto the cerebral cortex to create the brain-computer interface. The idea they had been working on for so many years was finally about to become a reality. On May Day, at just after 6 in the morning, Wei Bo, Xian Yuman, Hu Jingxian, Jiang Xiang, Yu Heguang, and Lu Chang gathered at the airport. The others carried small suitcases, or didn't even have one, just a large backpack. But Wei Bo had an exceptional amount of luggage, 2 full 24-inch suitcases. Hu Jingxian asked, what on earth did you bring? Wei Bo, gifts for CEO Yu. From the night they decided to go to the capital, Wei Bo had started preparing gifts. He had consulted with classmates Xie and Ms. Wu. Now Wei Bo's suitcases were filled with Yuhua tea, Luqing rice cakes, Luqing sesame seed cakes, dried spring vegetables, and, purchased under Ms. Wu's guidance and accompanied by classmates Xie, Hermes silk scarves and pocket squares. There were also 2 bottles of Feitian Maotai, sponsored by Old Wei, which had already been shipped to classmate Xie's house in advance. After checking their luggage and going through security, the group went to KFC for breakfast. In a place like the airport, only the breakfasts at McDonald's and KFC were edible. Wei Bo offered to treat everyone. After asking for their opinions, he ordered 6 cheese and chicken panini combos with hot soy milk, and then ordered 6 egg tarts separately. He loved the egg tarts from KFC. The ones from bakeries or homemade just didn't taste the same. The food came quickly. The other 5 calmly began to eat their breakfast, chatting about how delicious the egg tarts were as they ate. I think it could go out of business if it just sold its egg tart recipe to McDonald's and the original recipe chicken. If it sold the recipes for the egg tarts and original recipe chicken, it could go out of business. The panini is okay, but the burgers are truly awful. The conversation was ordinary, without a single mention of work. Lu Chang, the only one with work on his mind, was very restless. But from what he could see, he was the only one who was restless. The others were so relaxed, it was as if they were going to the capital for fun. Yes, it was a holiday, but were they going on vacation? They were going to seek a partnership. There are too many people out and about for May Day. Yeah, I was thinking of climbing the Great Wall if we had time, but then I saw a video of the crowds their last May Day and immediately gave up on the idea. The Great Wall is probably out, but we can still try some of the capital's famous foods. What foods? Duzir. The other 5 continued their chat. Lu Chang, usually the most talkative and abstract one, found he couldn't join in. Listening to their conversation, he began to doubt his own mindset. He started to give himself a pep talk. The more important the matter, the steadier you must be. Don't act like you've never seen the world. Besides, he was something of an internet celebrity now. He had to be mindful of his public image when he was out and about. Finally, they boarded the plane. All 6 of them were in economy class. Lu Chang, Jiang Xiang, and Yu Heguang were seated in the same row. After sitting down, Lu Chang saw Yu Heguang immediately pull out his tablet and start reviewing the PowerPoint presentation for their project. Wei Bo would be the one presenting this PowerPoint, and he had also determined its logic, but Yu Heguang was still worried. I have to check it again. What if there's a typo or something? It would make such a bad first impression. Jiang Xiang immediately leaned in to look as well. Is this punctuation mark in English? Lu Chang. So these 2 were just pretending to be calm. He turned his head to look away Bo, Xian Yuman, and Hu Jingxian, who were sitting on the other side of the aisle. The 3 of them were chatting, with Xian Yuman at the center of the conversation. They must be talking about work too, right? He knew it. He wasn't the only one being serious and cautious about this important collaboration. Just an aisle away. Hu Jingxian, I downloaded Green Book beforehand. Want to watch it together later? Wei Bo, sure. Actually, he had also downloaded videos to kill time on the road, but they weren't movies, but rather short dramas. Xian Yuman, hum. Hu Jingxian. There haven't been many movies to watch this year. I've already seen some of the classic old films several times. Wei Bo, have you seen The Ancestor is 18 this year? Xian Yuman nodded. That one's good. Hu Jingxian. After boarding and seeing how narrow the economy class seats were, she hadn't regretted accompanying these 2 in economy. From this moment on, she regretted it. She really didn't want to be recommended any more short dramas, especially The Ancestor is 18 this year. During takeoff, seats had to be upright and tray tables stowed. Once the plane stabilized after takeoff, the tablet was placed on the tray table in front of Xian Yuman. Hu Jingxian paired her Bluetooth headphones, connecting all 3 of them to the one device. The movie began. Wei Bo lifted the armrest between himself and classmate Xia, then naturally took his girlfriend's hand. Xian Yuman also shifted naturally closer to him, the 2 of them gradually pressing together. Hu Jingxian only noticed this a few minutes later. They were clearly in a row of 3 seats, yet she felt like a third wheel. Wouldn't it have been nice to be lying down in first class? Why on earth did she agree to sit in economy with these 2? Classmate Xia, will you be uncomfortable like that? You can lean on my shoulder. Hum. Hu Jingxian smiled. Heh, if she ever sits with these 2 again, she's a dog. The movie finally ended. The plane also finally landed in Jingsheng. After retrieving their luggage, the group headed for the rideshare exit. Wei Bo said, let's all go back to the hotel and rest first. We'll meet directly at Huaxing at 1:30 p.m. Hu Jingxian gave a slight smile. I'll skip this afternoon. Tonight, everyone come to Yinxian restaurant. My treat. She didn't have anything to do this afternoon anyway. She might as well go home and get some proper sleep. Xian Yuman smiled at Hu Jingxian. Hu Jingxian instinctively felt that something wasn't quite right about that smile. What is it? She asked Xian Yuman. Xian Yuman, President Yu is treating me and bye-bye to dinner tonight. Then it's settled. Hu Jingxian waved to Jiang Xiang. See you tonight. So that pair is having dinner with President Yu tonight. Can they really be so shameless with their public displays of affection in front of President Yu? Can they? Just then, Hu Jingxian suddenly recalled Xian Yuman's birthday party from last year. Back then, the 2 of them had made their entrance together, danced together, cut the cake together, indiscriminately showering everyone present with their PDA. But this time was different. This time was practically meeting the mother-in-law, wasn't it? President Yu. in her role as a potential mother-in-law would only be even harder to deal with, right? Good luck, you two. Hua Jingxian looked at Wei Bo and Xian Yumin. From Hua Jingshuan's good luck, Wei Bo read the underlying message. You're screwed, kid. But he was actually quite calm. This calmness came partly from his confidence in himself, and partly from what classmate Xie had given him. Because classmate Xie had been honest enough with him, explaining the changes in her relationship with her mother in advance, she had given him a great sense of security. Isn't a sense of security usually something a girl wants from a guy? How did it get reversed with him? Everyone, this is what you call a stereotype. In a relationship, guys need a sense of security too. When he feels secure enough in a relationship, any potential difficulties and obstacles don't really amount to much. Classmate Xie's steadfastness was his true source of confidence. After Hua Jingxian left, the car Jiang Xiang and the others had called also arrived. After getting in the car, they saw a driver in black get out of a Maybach next to them, take their luggage, and open the car door for them. Wei Bai and Xian Yumin got into the Maybach. It drove off, one after the other, with a rideshare car. A driver, a Maybach, Yu Heguang's side, suddenly feels different from being in Haiqing. Jiang Xiang smiled. You've known Hua Jingxian for years, still not used to it? Yu Heguang. That's true. But speaking in detail, Hua Jingxian and Xian Yumin were still very different. Although Hua Jingxian was rich, she had a cheerful and easygoing personality, and she got along with them naturally. Xian Yumin was different. Yu Heguang suspected that if it weren't for Wei Bai, Xian Yumin wouldn't even say an extra word to them. I really admire Wei Bai, Yu Heguang lamented, to actually be able to date someone like Xian Yumin. Jiang Xiang, what do you mean by that? Yu Heguang, nothing really, it just feels so distant. Jiang Xiang thought for a moment and said, Xian Yumin isn't distant when she's with Wei Bai. Looking at Xian Yumin alone, it was as if she and they were from two different worlds. But when Xian Yumin was with Wei Bai, she often smiled gently, looking just like an overly rich and overly beautiful gentle junior. When you're with the one you love, even the coldest protective shell melts away, right? Lu Chang added his comment. Right, not distant at all. She can pin down a white mouse with one hand. Jiang Xiang. Yu Heguang. After almost a year, Wei Bai returned to this large flat that had no signs of being lived in. The house had obviously been cleaned in advance. It was spotless and so bright it reflected light. The only warm touch was that when the two of them arrived home, lunch was already set on the dining table. There were 7 or 8 plates of creative Chinese dishes, exquisitely presented. Wei Bai had never seen any of them before. Classmate Xie, when did you arrange for someone to make lunch? Wei Bai asked. Xian Yumin blinked. I arranged it the day we confirmed we were coming back to Beijing. Since they had confirmed their return to Beijing, the house certainly had to be cleaned, and the driver and the cooking Annie had to be in place. As they spoke, the two walked to the dining table. This Annie's cooking style is completely different from Annie Lin's, Wei Bai said. It looks beautiful. I wonder how it tastes. Xian Yumin, my mom's auntie came to cook. Wei Bai, then it must be delicious. This judgment had nothing to do with which auntie had made the dish. As the saying goes, if it looks good, it tastes good. It really was delicious, especially the flower petal rice soup. Wei Bai had originally thought it would be unappetizing, but the floral and rice aromas blended together, and the taste was surprisingly good. After lunch, Wei Bai took his laptop out of his suitcase, opened the PowerPoint, and familiarized himself with it again. Years of Lingxi's efforts were condensed in this PPT. If he made a mistake this afternoon and failed to present the content as he should, he would not be able to face everyone at Lingxi. However, Wei Bai had a certain degree of confidence in his public speaking abilities. Moreover, this PPT was a revision of the previous financing version. It was version 8, which he had pulled several all-nighters to reorganize the logic and write. He had also asked his aunt to review it beforehand. In terms of preparation, Wei Bai had done everything he possibly could. Because he had talked with classmate Xie and his aunt in advance, he was very clear that the collaboration between Lingxi and Huasheng was basically a done deal, but the specific form of cooperation would depend on the discussions during this trip to Beijing. After all, the control of Huasheng was not in classmate Xie's hands, and Huasheng's team would definitely fight for the interests of this tech giant. With both sides holding chips, how he presented this afternoon would likely be the key point of the negotiation. Glancing at the time, Wei Bai put away his laptop and went back to his room to change clothes. He had dressed casually for the flight. For the formal business in the afternoon, he planned to change into a shirt and dress pants. When he came out of the room, he saw that classmate Xie had also changed her clothes. Oh, so beautiful! Wei Bai came back to his senses and exclaimed in amazement. Simp said with a straight face, "I am Huaxing's largest shareholder." "All right, major shareholder." Wei Bai fought back the urge to pull her over for kisses and hugs and smiled. "I'll be counting on CEO Xie's protection this afternoon." Simp nodded. "Don't worry." Seeing her earnest and solemn look, Wei Bai found it adorable. It had a certain cute feeling of a child pretending to be an adult. Wei Bai suddenly thought he himself pretended to be an adult every day. When Xie looked at him, would she think he was cute, just like how he looked at her? This wasn't good. As a boyfriend, his image should be more powerful and imposing. Thinking this, Wei Bai straightened his suit collar and sat up straight. Simp, so cute. Wei Bai, forget it, cute is cute. What's wrong with a man being a little cute? Carrying the laptop bag, he got into the Maybach. When they arrived at the main entrance of the Huaxing building, after getting out of the car, he saw Jiang Xiang and Yu Heguang also getting out of their car. The afternoon meeting started at 1:30, and they all had the tacit understanding to arrive a dozen minutes early. The group walked together, entered the revolving glass door, and sat down in the lobby. Yu Heguang lowered his head to message Director Lin of Huaxing's Strategic Investment Department, saying they had arrived. Soon, 3 people emerged from the elevator. The man in the lead was in his 40s with a smile on his face. He first greeted Simp. Mumin has grown so much. Simp stood up and greeted him, "Uncle Han." Wei Bai immediately knew this was Xie Jiayu's good friend, the CEO of Huaxing, Han Yujun. Everyone else stood up as well, with Simp acting as the intermediary. After simple introductions, Wei Bai learned that the 2 people following Han Yujun were his secretary and Director Lin from the Strategic Investment Department. "Let's go. Let's head upstairs first." Han Yujun patted Wei Bai's shoulder and said to Simp, "President Yu isn't here yet. We can chat for a bit first." As soon as he said this, Wei Bai was a little stunned. What did he mean President Yu wasn't here yet? Could it be that President Yu was also coming this afternoon? Wei Bai looked at Xie, only to see that her expression was also a bit confused. He knew it. Xie definitely didn't know either. Otherwise, she would have told him long ago. This had really caught him off guard. However, after calming down and thinking about it, whether President Yu came or not, he would still present Lingxi according to plan. Since that was the case, what did he have to be nervous about? Just because his mother-in-law was added to the opposing team, did that mean he wouldn't be able to present the PPT? One must remain calm when encountering problems. Think about this in reverse. President Yu was extremely busy, yet she could specifically take the time to listen to the project proposal of a small company like theirs. This showed the importance she placed on him and Lingxi. So, in detail, this should be a good thing, right? Han Yujun personally received them, and the group followed him to a large conference room on the 5th floor. At this time, cut fruit and mineral water were already placed on the conference room table. Han Yujun's secretary guided them to their seats, then sat down in the position next to Han Yujun. "Have Gong Yang and Lu Tinglan come over as well," Han Yujun said. Secretary Yao nodded. "Okay." Han Yujun started making small talk. "Is President Wei also from Lucheng?" Wei Bai replied, "Yes." "Lucheng is a good place," Han Yujun smiled. "A place of outstanding people." After saying this, he looked at Jiang Xiang again. A few days ago, a new PhD from Caltech in metabolic engineering joined the company, named Zhang Ruiqing. He spoke very highly of President Jiang, saying that President Jiang is a man of ideals. After he said this, a few seconds passed before Jiang Xiang showed a gentle and slightly helpless smile. "Mr. Zhang is also very outstanding." Han Yujun smiled and said no more. 2 people entered the door. Secretary Yao didn't make an introduction, but Wei Bai had researched Huaxing beforehand and knew that Gong Yang and Lu Tinglan were both vice presidents of Huaxing, the chief technology officer and the head of the medical device business group, respectively. Han Yujun then said a few more seemingly casual things to Simp. At 1:25, Secretary Yao reminded Wei Bai to project his screen first. At 1:29, Yu Wei, along with Secretary Zhu, entered the conference room on time. After coming in, she nodded at Han Yujun, then sat in the empty seat to Han Yujun's right and looked directly at Wei Bai. Let's begin. This was the second time Wei Bai had seen Yue. The last time they met was at a private occasion, like Xie's coming-of-age ceremony. At that time, Yue's aura was also very strong, but it was completely different from now. This sudden and immense sense of pressure made Wei Bai a little nervous. But it was only a little. Within a few breaths, Wei Bai suppressed the little, leaving only confidence in the Lingxi project and his team. Good morning, leaders and experts of Huasheng. I am Wei Bai, the current CEO of Lingxi. Today, I am very honored to report to you on a technology that will completely change the way humans interact with machines, a completely self-developed, non-invasive brain-computer interface technology, Lingxi. Currently, there are 2 billion patients with neurological diseases worldwide, but traditional brain detection equipment requires craniotomy or electrode implantation. Humanity urgently needs a tool that is safe, accessible, and precise to achieve a dialogue with the brain. And once this kind of tool appears, what it will achieve is not just a technological revolution, but it will also open up a market worth hundreds of billions. Next, Lingxi's founder and chief technical officer, Jiang Xiang, will present a technical animation demonstration and explanation for everyone. After speaking, Wei Bai nodded to Jiang Xiang and handed him the presentation clicker. The moment it ended, he looked towards classmate Xie. Seeing 2 small dimples blossom in her sparkling eyes, the corners of Wei Bai's mouth also turned up. His seat was to classmate Xie's left. After sitting down, he discovered a pair of soft, small hands reaching over. Wei Bai instantly grabbed them, giving them a light, firm squeeze. Classmate Xie surely understood this body language. We have business to attend to, don't be naughty. Gripped tightly, classmate Xie's hand indeed stopped fidgeting and stayed obediently in Wei Bai's palm. Up front, Jiang Xiang finished his demonstration and explanation. Finally, following the script Wei Bai had written for him in advance, he said a few words, counting from the birth of the terminology and the construction of the first system. Brain-computer interface technology has been developing for nearly 50 years. In these 50 years, through the efforts of countless predecessors, we now stand on the shoulders of their scientific and technological achievements, on the eve of an explosion in brain-computer interaction technology. To let those with paralyzed legs walk with their thoughts, to let those who cannot speak converse with their brains. This is Lingxi's vision, and we believe this vision is about to be realized. Thank you all. After Jiang Xiang finished his speech, Huasheng's chief technical officer, Gong Yang, looked at Han Yujun. After Han Yujun gave a slight nod, Gong Yang raised several technical questions. After Jiang Xiang answered them one by one, Gong Yang added him on WeChat on the spot. Han Yujun spoke to Yu Wei. Young people are truly remarkable. When I was 20, I worried about one thing every day, how to not fail my classes. Yu Wei. They are young and perhaps impetuous. President Han, please provide them with plenty of guidance. Hearing this, Han Yujun's thoughts finally cleared. To be honest, even without the connection to Simp, he was very keen on making this collaboration with the Lingxi project and team happen. On one hand, although the project still faced many technical difficulties, if it succeeded, the market would be immeasurable. On the other hand, he himself had come from a humble background and was very willing to give young people a chance. Of course, there were prerequisites for giving a chance. Whether an investment or collaboration, he valued people more than the project itself. Whether they possessed extremely strong execution and decision-making abilities, whether they had the capacity for continuous learning and self-iteration, whether they had resilience, adversity quotient, and a clear vision and strategic foresight. Most importantly, whether the leader possessed personal charisma, leadership, and the ability to unite a team. In the Lingxi team, the founder Jiang Xiang was a technical talent, willing to yield the leadership position to Wei Bai. And Wei Bai, though young, possessed the character of a great founder. What's more, Wei Bai had now earned Yu Wei's approval. With such a young man entering the game, the sky over the CF family was probably about to truly change. As his thoughts turned, Han Yujun smiled and said, I should be the one learning more from the young people. Yu Wei smiled, then lowered her head to glance at the time. She stood up, nodded towards Han Yujun, then looked at Simp and said flatly, Come home for dinner tonight. Simp, Yue looked at Wei Bai again. Was lunch to your satisfaction? Wei Bai quickly said, it was delicious. Yue nodded. President Han has many qualities you need to learn from. Learn well. Wei Bai's heart pounded, but his mind worked fast enough. I definitely will. No need to see me out, Yue said, looking at the Huashen group who had stood up with him. You all continue your discussion. Han Yujun knew her no-nonsense temperament and smiled. Then I won't see you out. We do indeed have many things to discuss. Yue came in a hurry and left just as quickly. Gong Yang and Lin Feng from the Strategic Investment Department exchanged a look. President Yu had been here for an hour, neither providing guidance nor expressing any opinion on Lingxi. But the message was already very clear. She was here to back Wei Bai and Lingxi. This meant that all of them had to carefully consider how to negotiate and proceed with the upcoming collaboration. While the people from Huashen were lost in thought, the people from Lingxi were stunned. The night before, when Jiang Xiang was having dinner with Yu Heguang, he was still worried that Wei Bai might face some difficulties from President Yu. Unexpectedly, not only were there no difficulties, but President Yu even clearly expressed her high regard for Wei Bai. What did this mean? Jiang Xiang looked at Wei Bai. At this moment, Wei Bai was chatting with Han Yujun and the others about the Lingxi team. He appeared very calm and natural, just like when the few of them held private meetings, even cracking a joke from time to time. For a moment, Jiang Xiang was thoroughly convinced. With someone like Wei Bai, wouldn't it be strange if President Yu wasn't satisfied? Jiang Xiang pulled himself together and joined the seemingly casual conversation. He emphasized the financial and emotional support Wei Bo had given him and everyone at Lingxi during their difficult times, and expressed his own inadequacy in business. Gong Yang, who also came from a technical background, found Jiang Xiang more and more interesting as he listened. Not everyone can understand the wisdom of taking a step back to find a broader perspective. Secretary Yao brought up another matter, the recent public opinion issues concerning Jiang Xiang personally. It was handled very quickly and appropriately. Secretary Yao remarked with admiration. Just as Jiang Xiang was about to give Wei Bo credit again, he heard Wei Bo interject. It was mainly because the rumors were baseless, which made them easy to clarify. We've already reported it to the police, and we will definitely see this matter through to the end. Jiang Xiang gave him a deep look, not greedy for credit, not driven by profit, not arrogant or impetuous, not servile or overbearing. And he's not even 20 years old, barely 20. The people from Huashen were all mentally evaluating this young man. He had the ambition and sharpness of a young man, but not the arrogance and immaturity. No wonder the eldest Miss Xie likes him. Speaking of the eldest Miss Xie, Secretary Yao pondered as he sized up Huashen's true boss. She was so beautiful that she exuded a kind of inviolable, sacred aura. This goddess-like figure had barely spoken since the meeting began, sitting beside her boyfriend, as if she were just part of the background. But was she really just part of the background? He recalled something President Han had told him. When this eldest Miss Xie was in middle school, a boy in her class, unaware of her temperament, pulled her ponytail. After she got angry, the boy even said, "Is it that serious?" It was just a joke. On the spot, eldest Miss Xie personally broke the boy's arm, and then had her bodyguards set it right there. While the boy was howling in pain on the ground, eldest Miss Xie just watched him coldly and said softly, "Is it that serious?" It was just a joke. At the time, President Han had remarked with feeling, even Xie Jiayu wasn't this ruthless as a child. Remembering this, Secretary Yao looked again at the gentle eldest Miss Xie sitting opposite him, with her sweet, dimpled smile, and felt a strong sense of dissonance. He thought about it, and felt that eldest Miss Xie was probably more like Xie Jiayu after all. President Yu looked hard to provoke, and indeed was. President Xie was the one who looked cheerful and kind, but would strike a fatal blow when he made a move. Secretary Yao then thought of a recent piece of gossip from the capital. It was said that President Xie's nephew, Xie Xinming, the only male heir of his generation in the Xie family, was only 16 but was already so promiscuous that he had ruined his own health at a young age. Exactly how he was ruined, and to what extent the outside world didn't know. But it was a foregone conclusion that Xie Xinming was now forced to withdraw from the competition to be the Xie family heir. Thus, It was already very clear into whose hands the vast Xie family enterprise would ultimately fall. In truth, there had been signs of this for over a decade. Otherwise, why, when the Xie family had Xie Xinjian, who was several years older than Xie Yumin, did Yu Wei and Xie Jiayu tacitly allow the outside world to call Xie Yumin eldest miss? Now, this heiress to $100 billion corporation was intently eating cut fruit. She even fed a piece to her boyfriend, as if they weren't there. Secretary Yao could hardly bear to watch. He only hoped this project could proceed and conclude smoothly, that Huasheng could satisfy the eldest Miss Xie, so as to avoid any turmoil in the Xie family's upper echelons that might affect an innocent bystander like him. This chat continued past 4 o'clock, and many aspects gradually became clear. But the specific details of the collaboration would certainly require further communication. I have a meeting in a bit, Han Yujun said, standing up. I'll have Lin Feng show you around the company, and you can also give Huasheng some suggestions. I was supposed to host dinner for you tonight, but President Yu has given her orders, so I won't fight her for the guests. Man, little Wei, let's agree now. You must give Uncle Han face tomorrow night. Wei Bo stood up and smiled. Uncle Han, you're teasing us. It's our honor to have dinner and converse with you. Han Yujun glanced at him with a smile, pointing a finger at him. You. Then, he turned to Xie Yumin. How about Yuansong Restaurant? I remember you loved their roast duck when you were a child. Xie Yumin smiled. We'll follow your arrangement. After a few more exchanges, Han Yujun walked out of the conference room, with Gong Yang and the others following him. Gong Yang, you and Lin Feng worked together to get this done, Han Yujun said slowly after leaving the conference room. Make it the top priority. Gong Yang nodded, understood. It wasn't until 5:30 that Wei Bo and his group left Huasheng. Stepping out of the main gate, Lu Chong took a deep breath. I didn't even dare to breathe loudly just now. Yu Heguang. Me too. I was so afraid I'd say the wrong thing and cause a misunderstanding. Jiang Xiang, however, was quite calm. Today went very smoothly. He thought to himself that there was no need to say more words of thanks. Saying too much would seem overly formal. Only by finalizing the cooperation plan, pushing Lingxi to the market, and achieving good results can we justify the dedication of Wei Bai and Xie Yumin. This is just the beginning, Wei Bai said. The next few days will probably be very tough. Jiang Xiang laughed heartily. It's normal to be tired at a time like this. Just then, Yu Heguang had already checked the route. The place Sister Xian picked isn't far from the subway station. Let's take the subway. Jiang Xiang and Lu Chong had no objections. At that moment, the Maybach also drove out of the Huasheng parking lot. Wei Bai waved his hand. Let's get in touch after tonight's over. Jiang Xiang. Okay. Once in the car, Wei Bai's straight back slumped and his shoulders instantly dropped. Xie Yumin blinked. Are you exhausted? Wei Bai, utterly wiped out. Although things had gone surprisingly smoothly under the influence of classmate Xie's magical powers, talking to the big shots was truly draining, more so than studying for 14 hours straight. Bai was super amazing, Xie Yumin said with earnest, childlike words. The most outstanding in the world. Distracted by her, Wei Bai also relaxed. Of course, realistically speaking, his performance today wasn't bad, right? He didn't screw up, did he? Of course, he knew even more clearly that the reason today went so smoothly was because classmate Xie had put in some effort behind the scenes. This effort, while seemingly invisible, had a direct impact on Lingxi's future. Just how lucky was he to have met classmate Xie and be loved by her like this? The gift for Yu Wei had long been stuffed in a trunk. The Maybach now headed directly for Star River Bay No. 1. I originally thought going to CEO Yu's house would be more nerve-wracking than discussing business at Huasheng, Wei Bai said. Xie Yumin's voice was soft. Originally? Wei Bai smiled. Didn't I already meet CEO Yu this afternoon? Xie Yumin squeezed his hand, her dimples appearing. Don't worry, it's just dinner tonight. She had already cleared the path, just waiting for her little turtle to walk over safely. Besides, with such an outstanding, handsome, and adorable little turtle as a son-in-law, what could Yue be dissatisfied with? Her taste was much better than Yue's. At least 10,000 times better. Yes. Before 6 o'clock, the evening rush hour in the capital was already at its peak outside the car window. The car lights merged into a single line, and the cars strung along it crawled forward like ants. A 30-minute drive was congested into 50 minutes. Weibai said, although Haiqing has traffic too, at least it's not this exaggerated near our school. Siemyumen, immersive, it's all Huaxing's fault for being so centrally located. Weibai heard this, and new classmate Xie was joking, finding it cute. The driver, however, only felt fear, blaming the company's location for traffic. The young miss was just as arrogant and domineering as the rumors said. And yet, this arrogant young miss was as docile as a little white rabbit next to this young man named Weibai. Goodness, was this the power of love? The driver's mind was a theater of thoughts, but he didn't dare say a word. After so many years as a driver, he had long understood that the less you say and the tighter your lips, the better when driving for the rich. The car finally turned into Star River Bay No. 1. Passing through the heavy, carved gate, the surroundings instantly became much quieter. The giant trees lining both sides of the road were clearly ancient, their branches meticulously trimmed and the lawns perfectly neat. Twilight had not yet fallen, but the streetlights were already on, and a few villas were already glowing with warm yellow light. The Maybach stopped in front of a brightly lit single-family home. Weibai and Siemyumen got out of the car one after another and saw a person standing under the porch. It was Secretary Zhu. The driver opened the trunk, and Weibai and Siemyumen began to lift out the gifts. Secretary Zhu came forward to help. This afternoon, CEO Yu had suddenly informed her that she needed to go to Huaxing, which gave her a huge fright. The thing CEO Yu said at Huaxing gave her an even bigger fright. Now, without CEO Yu needing to say more, she understood very clearly that CEO Yu had completely accepted Weibai and was willing to send this signal to the outside world. This was different from the minor skirmishes at last year's birthday party. This was the real beginning of feeding him resources. Under the warm light at the villa's entrance, Secretary Zhu secretly observed Weibai. He didn't look any different from how he was at Huaxing in the afternoon. His expression and demeanor were very calm. This young man was truly composed. It had to be said, the young Mrs. Judgment was excellent, at least better than CEO Yu's. Secretary Zhu pushed open the oak door, and Weibai and Siemyumen walked in, their arms full of bags. From Weibai's observation, the first floor of the villa was about 500 square meters with a ceiling height of about 4 meters. The overall color scheme was black, white, and gray, paired with metal and marble elements, creating very clean and simple lines. A sound came from the elevator on the right. Weibai looked over at the sound. The elevator doors opened, and Yue walked out. She wore a sharply tailored suit, her hair meticulously pulled back. From a distance, Weibo immediately called out, "Auntie Yu." Yue nodded, her face expressionless, and walked over quickly. Seats. Piling all the gifts in their hands onto the black mat coffee table, Siemyumen pulled Weibo to sit on the dark gray leather sofa. Weibo didn't mention the 2 Hermes bags or the Feitian Mitai, introducing only the spring vegetables and yuhua tea. These are some wild vegetables picked from the mountains dried. They're fragrant in stews and delicious in buns and dumplings. The yuhua tea is this year's new tea, grown by my grandfather himself. Yue's gaze swept past the Hermes boxes and the Mitai with barely a pause, finally settling on the cardboard box. After a few seconds, she gave a slight nod. "You've gone to the trouble. Auntie Wang, prepare the yuhua tea." The moment she finished speaking, a line of maids appeared from out of nowhere and began to clear away the gifts on the table. Weibo was stunned. He had figured as much. A 4-story villa this large couldn't possibly function without maids. But where did this line of 3 uniformly dressed maids pop out from? And weren't their movements a little too well trained, from their appearance to their departure? It took only a minute or two, their movements so fast it was like they were on fast forward. The luxury car and the grand villa hadn't given Weibo such a shock, but the maids did. At this moment, Weibo finally had the real sense of having entered the home of a wealthy and powerful family. Before many words were exchanged, Weibo noticed another row of maids beginning to serve the food. This group's uniforms were a different color from the previous 3, a clear indication of a different type of work. Nice. There were 6 maids just for serving the dishes, each one steadily holding a silver tray. Weibo had only ever seen such a spectacle in short online dramas. Never mind whether the food was delicious. The sense of intimidation was at its peak. However, with classmate Xie by his side, Weibo wasn't actually that nervous. Compared to the pressure from this luxurious villa, the aura and bearing of classmate Xie, like the young mistress of a great house, captured his attention more. Why was she like a little swan, suddenly holding its head high? So cute. Following Yue, the three of them took their seats in the dining room. It was a long table. With only 3 people eating, Yue sat at the head, while Weibo was pulled by his little swan to sit on the right side. Once she took his hand, just like in the sofa area, she didn't let go. Weibo knew that this was classmate Xie's way of giving him strength. But then again, was it really okay to be holding hands so blatantly in front of a parent? Weibo turned his head to look at classmate Xie, expressing his thoughts with his eyes. Classmate Xie blinked and squeezed his hand tighter. All right, since classmate Xie insisted, he would let her hold his hand. By this time, the serving team had finished setting out all the dishes. Weibo took a quick glance and confirmed they were from the same master chef as lunch. The chef's skill was excellent, and the plating was a work of art. It was just that the dishes were so innovative that Weibo didn't recognize a single one. Weibo looked at classmate Xie again. The food is all served now. Shouldn't you let go of my hand? It's hard to eat like this. Simp received the signal and gently released his hand. At the same time, she looked at Yue. I am hungry. Yue glanced at her and picked up her chopsticks. Simp followed suit, first ladling a bowl of matsutake and morel stew with partridge for Weibo. Then, after a brief pause, she nonchalantly reached out, took the bowl in front of Yue, filled it 70% full, and placed it steadily back before her. Yue looked at the bowl of soup, and the fingertips holding the silver cutlery curled almost imperceptibly. Weibo was in the middle of serving classmate Xie some soup. Following her habit, he filled it half a bowl with only broth, no meat. Before the meal had even officially begun, Weibo could already sense its atmosphere. It was just as classmate Xie had said. When the Xie family ate together, you could only hear the sound of chopsticks and food. So, eating was just eating. There was no interrogation about his career, family, or plans for the future. It was really just eating. Weibo secretly observed his serious, precise, robot-like mother-in-law for a moment. She sat upright elegantly, her posture as if she were in a meeting, and her movements when picking up food were as clean and precise as her work style. Terrifying, truly terrifying. In this terrifying dining atmosphere, however, classmate Xie spoke to him intermittently, just like she normally would. This lychee shrimp ball is delicious, she said, picking one up and placing it in Weibo's bowl. You should try it. Weibo ate it in one bite. It's good, but it doesn't taste like lychee, Weibo commented. Simp smiled. It's just called that because it looks like a lychee. Weibo nodded. It is quite white and round. Classmate Xie, is this chicken in here? Weibo asked after taking a sip of the golden broth. Simp thought for a moment. Pigeon, I think. This pigeon soup is quite good. Weibo ladled another bowl for himself, better than chicken soup. As he was serving the soup, he noticed out of the corner of his eye that Yue's bowl was half empty, so he reflexively added a spoonful. Yue's hand holding the spoon tensed for a moment. A few seconds later, the spoon reached for the chicken soup. After taking a slow sip, she said, "It's partridge soup." Weibo had finally gotten her to speak. He immediately jumped in. Partridge? This is my first time eating partridge. It smells so good. What is it stewed with? I think I see some cordyceps in it. Yue, Weibo. So this is where classmate Xie learned her technique. But unlike most people, Weibo had a very rich understanding of the word Sometimes, you might think this word signifies coldness, a refusal to engage, disregard, or even contempt. But if you think about it, she could have said nothing at all, yet she still replied with an What did that mean? It meant politeness, it meant respect. Weibo seized the opportunity. Auntie, could I ask the chef for the recipe later? Classmate Xie loves soup. Yue glanced at him. I'll have Secretary Zhu send it to you. Does Simp love soup? Yue didn't know. Thinking back, all these years, she had poured all her energy into the Xie Corporation and didn't understand her own daughter at all. There are gains and losses in everything. Yue never regretted her actions or decisions. It was just that now, there was a touch of melancholy. She didn't know how to be a mother, and she was well aware of her shortcomings. The only thing she could give Simp was the vast Xie Corporation. It really was just a meal. Besides the partridge, they talked about almost nothing. After the meal, Yue didn't ask them to stay, so Simp took the opportunity to leave the villa with Weibo. The whole process was magically and seamlessly smooth. Weibo didn't know whether to be happy or not. They had the drivers stop a short distance from their residential complex. Weibo and Simp got out, planning to stroll back and chat along the way. Classmate Xie, although you told me in advance it was just going to be a meal, I never expected that it would really be just a meal. I thought we'd at least talk about Lingxi. But I think Annie was quite satisfied with me. Simp smiled. How so? Weibo, she served the yuhua tea, and she drank the chicken soup I gave her. Simp nodded earnestly. Bai is so wonderful, of course she's satisfied. However, love is a matter between the two of us. Even if she's not satisfied, or if someone else isn't, I won't waver in the slightest. Under the streetlight, Weibo looked at the girl he loved. She was braver, more fearless, and more honest than he was. Weibo put his arm around her shoulder. Neither will I. Simp huffed. Of course I know you won't. As her words fell, her small dimples bloomed under the lamplight, tinged with pride, hiding a softness and anticipation. Weibo lowered his head, rubbing his chin against the top of her hair. I have to have a meeting when I get home. There are many things to discuss. He had never been so eager to achieve success in the worldly sense. Not to prove himself to Yue or anyone else, but to tell everyone that classmate Xie's choice was not wrong. Simp. Little Turtle is great in every way, but isn't he a bit of a workaholic? Simp nodded. Meeting. On the way home, they came across a stall selling cherries. Large red fruits were piled in a basket, 20 yuan a jean, looking very fresh. They bought 2 jean of cherries and went home. Simp took the bag to wash the cherries while Weibo contacted Jiangxiang and learned they had just finished dinner and were on their way back to the hotel. Looks like we can't start for another half hour. Weibo popped a cherry into his mouth, his face instantly contorting. So sour. Simp ate one too, her expression unchanged. This one is okay. There are probably some sour and some sweet ones. This was indeed a common situation when buying cherries. Even fruits from the same tree could be both sweet and sour. So Weibo easily believed her and tried again. Hiss! The sourness shot straight to the top of his head. He suspected classmate Xie was tricking him, so he ate several more in a row. Every single one was sour enough to set his teeth on edge. Classmate Xie. Weibo's tone became dangerous. Come, let me feed you a handful of sweet cherries. Simp raised her hands in surrender, her dimples deep, her tone utterly sincere. I'm serious, they're really are sweet ones. Weibo closed in on her. Where? How come I haven't had a single one? Simp's long eyelashes trembled. She suddenly turned sideways, lifting the hair at the nape of her neck to reveal the lustrous pearl button on the back of her blouse. At this moment, her voice grew much softer with a slight quiver. Unbutton it for me. Weibai, huh? Why unbutton it? To change into loungewear. That makes sense. Professional attire is nowhere near as comfortable as loungewear. Weibai reached out, and with a simple hook and flick of his finger, he easily undid the pearl button. Almost at the same instant, Simp slipped off her blouse, the smooth fabric piling up in front of Weibai. Weibai was stunned. Classmate Xie, you, Fine, testing me with this again. What does she take me for? Someone with no self-control. Today, he would show this classmate Xie what it means to be a true gentleman. Noticing his lack of movement, Simp turned her head slightly, a sly smile playing at the corners of her eyes. Didn't you want to eat sweet cherries? I have too. They're very sweet. Want to have a taste? The cherries were indeed fragrant and sweet. After Weibai had eaten his fill, he took a shower and changed his clothes. Just then, a message arrived from Yu Guang, saying the temporary conference room was ready. Classmate Xie, it's time to get online for the meeting. Simp refused. She was a bit tired and wanted a rest. Besides, her job was to build the bridge, and at this point, her part was done. So, Weibai took the meeting in the study, while Simp returned to her room for a video call with Hu Jingxian. Jiang Xiang and the others told me tonight. Hu Jingxian said on screen, beaming. I never expected President Yu to personally show up to back Lingxi. Man, tell me, what trick did you use? Xian Yuman said lightly. I didn't do anything. It's because Bai Bai is truly exceptional. Hu Jingxian. There are plenty of exceptional people out there. Xian Yuman. Not so. People as exceptional as Bai Bai are very, very rare. Hu Jingxian thought for a moment and didn't argue. If you put it that way, it's true. At least, the bunch in our circle, they're just... After saying this, Hu Jingxian recalled something important. I heard Xie Ximing is completely ruined. Something about pituitary hypofunction and spermatogenic dysfunction. Man, President Yu wasn't involved in this, was she? No, sie enfermed. She prefers to do things above board. But whether someone else was involved, I wouldn't know. Tisk, Hu Jingxian said. A piece of trash who raped a female classmate when he was 12. Being ruined is just what he deserves. With him out of the picture, and Xie Xinyan being a fool who can't even manage a marriage alliance, your grandfather will have no choice but to hand over the Xie Corporation to you and President Yu, no matter how much he dislikes her. And I get to ride your coattails, Hu Jingxian laughed. Our fates are so closely tied. If you do well, I'll prosper. Xian Yuman. And vice versa. Hu Jingxian was delighted. Oh, by the way, regarding Song Air, the people I hired have successfully gotten jobs there. They've sent back some pictures, and let's just say we won't have to go out of our way to make trouble for him. Xian Yuman was in a good mood and willing to chat. Filthy. Hu Jingxian. Worse. 2 of the locations reuse their hot pot broths and use moldy meat. I saw a video of a chef cutting meat with a swarm of flies buzzing around the cuts. Once we have a little more evidence, we can release it. Xian Yuman. You're amazing, Xian. In response to her perfunctory praise, Hu Jingxian rolled her eyes, then smiled. And about that hot pot restaurant employee you mentioned before, as long as Lingxi's collaboration with Huashen goes smoothly, I should be able to secure the whole corporation's oolong tea division. With that many distributors, it'll be easy to arrange things. Xian Yuman. Then good luck. Song Air, and maybe even Songda, will definitely know we're behind this, Hu Jingxian said. The way things are now, not only will they have to take the hit, they might even have to sue for peace. Xian Yuman mused. Perhaps Songda is hoping Song Air messes up, so he could be the one to clean up the mess. Hu Jingxian laughed. Man, for an only child, you really understand the dynamics of families with multiple children. Xian Yuman, give me a break. Keep it up. And besides the oolong tea, go after the ice cream line, Xian Yuman said, her voice cool. I want to eat ice cream that tastes like cold wood and orange hard candy. Hu Jingxian. Although she didn't know the backstory, her intuition told her she was now just another pawn in the couple's games. Even if I did take over the ice cream line, do you want me to go bankrupt making those 2 flavors? Xian Yuman. I think they would be delicious. Hu Jingxian. In that case, you can wait. She decided to abandon the fight for the ice cream line. It was the superior strategy. After covering these odds and ends, the 2 returned to the topic of the collaboration talks between Huashen and Lingxi. Han Yujun is treating us to dinner tomorrow night. Are you coming? Xian Yuman asked. Come on, Hu Jingxian said. After my brother graduates, I'm planning to have him go to a company like Huashen. Xian Yuman asked. Not Hu Corporation? Hu Jingxian. With his personality, if he joins the family business, he'll be eaten alive. Not even scraps left. I'll have my own hands full, and will still have to split my attention to look after him. It's better to let him go into a field he's good at and focus on research. Xian Yuman. Then Huasheng is indeed a good choice. Are you really not planning to join Huasheng's management? Hu Jingxian asked again. Xian Yuman's tone was calm. Not planning on it. Not interested. Huasheng has operated with a professional manager system from the very beginning. Hu Jingxian. Then why are you studying so hard now? Are you planning to get a master's or a doctorate? Xian Yuman nodded. This time her tone was very certain. At this stage, I'm not capable enough, but in a few more years, I will do original technology R&D and overcome core technological barriers. If you had said this to me even a year ago, I would have thought you were joking, Hu Jingxian lamented. But now, when I hear it, I just think my bestie is so damn awesome. Xian Yuman, you're awesome too. Holy shit. A word like awesome actually came out of your mouth. Hua Jingxian said exaggeratedly. Man, you've changed so much. Xianyuman, is this change a good thing? Hua Jingxian thought for a moment and said, First, I have to affirm your change. It makes you seem more like a person. Secondly, regardless of whether the change is good or bad, I mean good or bad in the conventional sense, you are always my Hua Jingshuan's best friend, the family I chose for myself. Xianyuman was very moved. What if I wanted to kill someone? Hua Jingxian raised an eyebrow. There should be ways to make someone's life a living hell without breaking the law, right? Xianyuman, that's true. But Xian, how could you say that? Xianyuman said with a righteous expression. What living hell? We are good people. We don't do things like that. Hua Jingxian. Oh, the two chatted for a while longer before Xianyuman received a call for a delivery. She hung up with Hua Jingxian and went to the living room to wait for the property management to bring up her order. Before video calling Hua Jingxian, she had ordered bread, snacks, and chewing gum from a nearby convenience store. After getting the delivery, Xianyuman tiptoed into the study. Weibai was still in a meeting with Jiang Xiang, Yu Heguang, and Lu Chang. Xianyuman listened in for 5 minutes and confirmed that their discussion was very mentally taxing. She chose to sit next to Little Turtle, open her tablet, put on her headphones, and dove into her studies. Little Turtle had its own things to do, and she had her coursework to complete. Once they finished their work and studies for the day, they could research the texture and flavor profiles of different chewing gums together. The negotiation with Huasheng continued for 3 days, and they finally settled on a collaboration to build a joint R&D center on Huasheng's Haiqing production line. Huasheng would provide data, computing power, and a test production line, while Lingxi would provide the core technical team and patented technology. This was a lightweight R&D collaboration, but completing the specific framework agreement and special attachments would not be easy. For now, Weibai had only signed a memorandum of understanding with Huasheng to lock in their intent. The rest had to be done slowly, especially concerning the patent valuation, which required institutions like iPolitics to audit the SCP value. None of this could be rushed. Finishing it all in 3 months would be considered extremely efficient. There's a lot of miscellaneous work to follow up on, but now that the intent to cooperate was fully settled, Lingxi's mission to Beijing was a complete success. On Sunday, the last day of the May Day holiday, Weibai and the others returned to Haiqing, leaving only Yu Heguang in Beijing to handle some wrap-up work. This trip was so damn satisfying, Lu Chang said with emotion in the morning as they ate at McDonald's while waiting for their flight. 2 years ago, when I was following Brother Jiang and Brother Yu around begging for investment, people wouldn't even give us the time of day. Who would have thought that in just 1 year, not only do we not have to worry about money, but the problems with data and production lines are also solved? Weibai said, actually, even without Huasheng, once the paper is published in June, many large companies would have extended olive branches to us. That's different. Jiang Xiang looked at Weibai. Other companies would be thinking about how to make money off Lingxi. With some of their tactics, it's not even certain if the company would still be ours. But Huasheng, their negotiation was very fair. Sometimes you could even say they were serving us. Without you and student Xie, how could such a good thing have happened to Lingxi? This is a win-win situation, Weibai said. Soon, they will know that this collaboration is extremely worthwhile. It will make Huasheng Technology a true giant in the biomedical field in one leap. Xianyuman nodded emphatically. Lingxi develops, Huasheng makes money, and spends that money on Lingxi. Perfect. Actually, when he first met Weibo, Jiang Xiang had really wanted to ask him one thing. How can you be so sure that Lingxi will definitely make money? What if the material stability remains poor, or if this non-invasive method isn't accepted by the public, or if they encounter some political or commercial maneuvering? On the path of entrepreneurship, there were simply too many unexpected situations. That's why investors, when choosing projects, tend to favor those with a quick return on investment and high stability. This was also the reason why Lingxi had always struggled to secure funding. As the founder of Lingxi, even Jiang Xiang didn't dare to say that Lingxi would definitely make a fortune. But Weibo had always been incredibly resolute, and this sense of conviction was powerfully transmitted to the entire team. Jiang Xiang pondered and pondered, but today he still didn't ask that question. How can you be so sure that Lingxi will definitely make money? He thought that, by now, there was actually no longer a need to ask. Lingxi, without a doubt, would achieve a good result. First, the rapid response to the public relations incident, then facilitating the collaboration with Huashen. This series of events felt like the gloomy haze that had accumulated in his chest suddenly dissipated, and his heart was filled with sunshine and a gentle breeze. Jiang Xiang felt that he had rediscovered the drive and hope he had back at Haida University. Attention all passengers, boarding for your flight, China Eastern Airlines MU-1234, is about to begin. Please present your boarding pass and a valid ID at the gate. Thank you for your cooperation. Weibo, let's go, it's time to board. Jiang Xiang stood up. Okay. This time, returning to Haicheng, everything was already different. They landed in Haicheng at exactly 12 o'clock. The group left the airport, took a taxi to a place near Haida University, and had a meal of Haicheng cuisine together. Afterward, Jiang Xiang and Lu Chang went back to their respective rented apartments, while Weibo, Xian Yuman, and Hua Jingxian headed back to Langxin Gardens together as it was on the way. On the road, Hua Jingxian asked, "Where are you guys eating tonight?" Weibo felt there was something off about that question. They had just finished lunch, and she was already thinking about dinner? Xian Yuman knew Hua Jingxian very well. The moment she heard this, she knew what she was thinking. Xian Yuman, not eating, so don't come over. Hua Jingxian pretended not to understand. How can you not eat? Should I buy half a salmon and come over to your place tonight? What else do you guys want to eat? I'll buy it all at once. Hearing this, Weibo finally got it. Sister Xian was trying to mooch a meal. Weibo looked at classmate Xie and, from her placid expression, guessed that her attitude was one of indifference. Just get the salmon. That's fine, Weibo said with a smile. We'll prepare the rest. Hua Jingxian agreed, then grinningly went to link arms with Xian Yuman. Make me sushi. I also want avocado salmon salad. I'll buy the avocados. She had worked so hard to take care of Song Air. Yuman had to give her a little treat, right? But demand wasn't high, just one meal. Plus, she would bring her own top-tier ingredients and voluntarily wash the dishes afterward. Xian Yuman looked at her. Do you want mango salsa? Yes. Hua Jingxian hurriedly agreed. I'll buy the mangoes. I'll buy the onions. I'll buy the bell peppers. What else? Just give me a list, and I'll buy it all at once. Xian Yuman, Because Hua Jingxian was overly proactive, Weibo was forced to relinquish his ingredient preparation rights. When they reached Phase 2 of Langxin Gardens, they parted ways with Hua Jingxian. Weibo and Xian Yuman were left alone, pushing 3 suitcases as they walked slowly towards Phase 3. Classmate Xie, have you and Sister Xian been friends since you were little? Xian Yuman's voice was gentle. We were classmates in kindergarten, elementary school, and middle school. Isn't she a grade older than you? Weibo asked. She skipped a grade in her second year of middle school. Xian Yuman blinked. Guess why? Weibo, because she had a fight with you? Xian Yuman, no. Weibo, because she thought the second-year curriculum was too easy? Xian Yuman shook her head. Nope. Weibo, it couldn't have been for an early romance, could it? Her small pear-like dimples appeared. It wasn't exactly an early romance. She just had a crush on a third-year boy and insisted on going to be his classmate. Weibo was surprised. Sister Xian had a phase like that? Xian Yuman. After half a month in the third year, her idealized image of that boy shattered, and she clamored to go back to the second year to be with me. But her family didn't agree. Weibo. So, was she able to keep up with her studies? Xian Yuman. She could keep up even if she never paid attention in class. Weibo. Damn it. Why was he surrounded by these naturally gifted freaks? Was he the only one who had to work really hard to maintain good grades? Classmate Xie, how did you two become such good friends? Weibo asked. Xian Yuman's tone was hesitant. Are you sure you want to know? The way she said it made Weibo even more curious. Moreover, he was certain that classmate Xie was intentionally using that tone to pique his curiosity. Of course, Weibo played along with his girlfriend's little bit of mischief. I'm sure. Chapter 425, What Kind of Force? When we were very young, maybe 5 or 6, at a party, she got into a fight with her cousin, Xian Yuman said lightly. I helped her. Weibai, how did you help? Siam um, yeah. Why this sudden hesitation in her tone? Could be that the 5 or 6-year-old student Sia, just like the 18 or 19-year-old student Sia, would hit people with a stick. Surely not. Student Sia. Wei Bai prompted her to continue her story with a questioning tone. They were fighting and came near me. I said, "Don't touch my dress, you dirty thing." Siam Yuman's voice grew quieter and kicked him. Wei Bai imagined the scene. Very much the villainous type. But that's it? Yes, student Xie did make a rather young miss comment, but it must have been because Hua Jingshuan's cousin was too dirty, right? A 5 or 6-year-old kid might have had a runny nose. It was normal for student Xie to be disgusted. As for kicking him, how could you blame student Xie for that? If anyone was to blame, it was the other party for getting near student Xie's dress. Besides, that didn't really count as helping, did it? And just like that, you and Sister Xian became friends? Wei Bai asked. She smiled, a little embarrassed, her small dimples showing. Yeah, she started clinging to me, saying she liked me a lot. Wei Bai? Sister Xian really had good taste. After hearing this interesting childhood story, Wei Bai could easily imagine a scene where, when they were a little older, one of them would be fighting and the other would be handing her a stick. However, student Xia wasn't the type to look for trouble. If someone got beaten up by her, it must have been their fault. There was no doubt about that. As they talked, the two arrived home. Wei Bai began taking things out of the suitcase. Tea, pastries, air-dried partridges, and so on. Siam Yuman was puzzled. When did you buy these? How did she not know? Did I forget to tell you? Wei Bai said, his hands not stopping. Didn't we go back to my home for dinner last night? Secretary Zhu moved them into the car before we left. Siam Yuman. Then we should thank Secretary Zhu properly. Wei Bai helplessly patted her head. Don't be cheeky. They were at President Yu's front gate. How could Secretary Zhu do something like that without President Yu's permission? It was self-evident who had given them these things. In fact, after spending some time with her, Wei Bai felt that Yu Wei did love her daughter. It was just that she had been young before and faced with huge changes in her career and marriage. Her relationship with student Xie had grown increasingly cold. However, Wei Bai wouldn't try to persuade student Xie of anything based on his own perceptions. Regardless, the hurt that young student Xie had suffered was real. If it weren't for her aunt, Wei Bai couldn't imagine what student Xie would be like now. Moreover, this was student Xie's own family matter. Only she could decide what attitude and approach to take. After putting what needed to go in the fridge into the fridge and what needed to go in the snack cabinet into the snack cabinet, they tidied up and decided to have a nice, long sleep. These past few days, they had been going to Huasheng during the day and holding small meetings at night to summarize, review, and plan. It was truly exhausting. Siam Yuman was also quite tired. She hadn't actually done much, but she always felt exhausted whenever she returned to Beijing. After sending Hua Jingxian the list of ingredients needed for dinner, she went back to the room with Wei Bai. On a spring afternoon, the two held each other and fell into a deep sleep. For a change, they didn't set an alarm and slept until they woke up naturally. Wei Bai woke up first. When he did, he glanced at the time. It was already past 4 in the afternoon. That was a really comfortable sleep. He turned his head slightly to look at student Xie, curled up in the light blue duvet. Half of her shoulder was exposed to the air, her collarbone pale and lustrous. Wei Bai gently pinched a corner of the duvet and pulled it up to cover her shoulder. Just then, the girl's nose wrinkled slightly like a child's, her eyelashes fluttered, and she slowly opened her eyes. You're awake? Wei Bai propped himself up on one hand, placing the other on the soft crown of her head. Siam Yuman's consciousness was still a bit fuzzy. She instinctively hugged Wei Bai's arm and nuzzled against it like a little kitten. Student Xie, it's past 4. We should get up, Wei Bai said softly. Siam Yuman's eyes suddenly flew wide open. It was already past 4. She had actually slept for over 2 hours. It was all Xuan's fault. If Xian weren't coming for dinner, they could have engaged in a very comfortable wake-up ritual that involved both parties after she woke up. Now, she just had to get up. They had agreed that Hua Jingxian would bring all the ingredients, but they were making sushi tonight, so they needed to steam the rice in advance. Besides, since she was bringing the ingredients, Hua Jingxian would definitely arrive early. Siam Yuman reluctantly climbed out of bed. half her body still draped over Wei Bai. Wei Bai looked at his dawdling girlfriend and tapped her lightly on the head. Fully awake now? Xian Yumin whispered. Nope. Wei Bai smiled. Then I'll get up first and put the rice on to steam. Xian Yumin simply draped herself all over him. I'm getting up too. Student Xia, is this your attitude toward getting up? Wei Bai said helplessly. MHM, let me hug you for another 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes, Wei Bai thought. If student Xia wants a hug, let her hug. So, 5 minutes later, Wei Bai looked at student Xia, whose face was buried tightly in his chest, and reminded her, time's up. Xian Yumin, requesting an extension. This girl, it seemed he wouldn't get anywhere without getting serious. Wei Bai said menacingly, if you don't get up now, I'm going to have to use force. Xian Yumin's eyes instantly lit up. Force? What kind of force? Wei Bai. Sometimes he really had it tough. In the end, the difficult business of getting out of bed concluded not with Wei Bai using any force, but with Xian Yumin getting up on her own after she had dawdled to her heart's content. The two had just changed into their loungewear when Hua Jingxian called to say she would be there in about 10 minutes. Wei Bai silently began to steam the rice for the sushi. Xian Yumin followed behind him and, stretching out her arms, wrapped them around his waist. Bye-bye, you have a nice back. Wei Bai pressed the quick cook button, turned around smoothly, and sighed. Student Xia, whatever open yet ulterior motives you have, can they wait until tonight? Tonight, when it would just be the two of them. Xian Yumin nodded reluctantly. MHM, it's all Xuan's fault, making me wait until tonight. Hua Jingxian was very punctual, knocking 3 times on the door after the rice had been steaming for 7 minutes. Xian Yumin went to open it. Hua Jingxian handed her 2 bags, changed into slippers, and walked in casually. The salmon is already sliced, and it's beautiful, Hua Jingxian said, showing off the ingredients she'd bought. The mango and avocado are perfectly ripe, so sweet and fragrant. I also picked up some wasabi and caviar for the sushi. Wei Bai, I haven't had wasabi in a long time. I really like the taste. Xian Yumin glanced at Hua Jingxian. Fine. For the sake of my little turtle liking salmon and wasabi, I'll make something good for Xian. MHM. Xian Yumin carried the ingredients into the kitchen, and Wei Bai followed to handle the fruits and vegetables. Most of the salmon would be eaten raw, with a small portion to be pan-fried. She put a small pat of butter and some rosemary in a frying pan, then placed the salmon in. Instantly, the aroma of butter and fish filled the entire house. Hua Jingxian stood at the kitchen door, watching with rapt attention. Who would have thought that the great Miss Xia would be such a good cook, Hua Jingxian lamented. A few years ago, if someone had told me that Miss Xia would one day trade it all for a life in the kitchen, I would never have believed them. Xian Yumin said flatly, your imagination isn't rich enough. Fine, Hua Jingxian sighed, looking at the sweet couple. In some areas, my imagination is indeed lacking. She used to think that even if she herself were to fall for a man, Xian Yumin never would. And the result? She had been single her whole life, while Xian Yumin was in a blissfully sweet relationship. Now, her very, very best friend, Xian Yumin, had completely found her direction and main purpose in life. And her? Of course, she had found hers too. She wanted money and power, to be a super rich woman for her entire life. That way, even if Xian Yumin and Wei Bai faced a crisis in the future, she would have the ability to be their safety net. She, Hua Jingxian, was standing right here, and no one was going to take her position as the guardian of their love. The fish was done frying. By then, Wei Bai had also diced the 2 avocados into the salad bowl. Xian Yumin tossed the salmon with the avocado and lettuce, drizzling it with olive oil and lemon juice. Then she started making a sweet, sour, and fruity salsa with mango, onion, bell peppers, and lemon juice. The aroma created by mixing the salsa with the salmon sashimi was incredibly appetizing. It was only 4:30, and Hua Jingxian hadn't been hungry, but the sweet, sour, and fresh scent made her stomach rumble. A little over half an hour later, the sushi was also ready, along with the beautifully marbled salmon and freshly made passion fruit lemon tea. A dazzling array of food covered the table. Now, this is a meal, Hua Jingxian said after taking a bite of the mango salsa, overcome with happiness. What was that stuff we had for lunch? The old Haiching-style restaurant they'd eaten at for lunch had been recommended by Lu Chang, which just went to show that Lu Chang's sense of taste was questionable. Wei Bai popped one sushi after another into his mouth. He also thought the old Haiching food from lunch was mediocre, especially when compared to student Xie's cooking. There was simply no comparison. The three of them had a wonderful meal. When you just eat without drinking alcohol, the meal goes by especially quickly. After eating, the three of them curled up on the sofa to chat. Wei Bai and Xian Yuman sat on the love seat, while Hu Jingxian had a single sofa all to herself. As they were chatting, Hu Jingxian received a friend request on WeChat. She glanced at it and showed the screen to Wei Bai and Xian Yuman. Song Lijia. Xian Yuman explained to Wei Bai. Song Air's older brother, Song De. Wei Bai knew of Song Lijia. To be precise, few people in Daxia didn't know the name. As the controlling shareholder of a domestic cotton textile giant, he was very savvy with the internet, an influencer entrepreneur. Did he find something out? Wei Bai asked. Hu Jingxian had already accepted Song Da's friend request and said with a smile, maybe someone got caught taking photos or videos of the back kitchen. But it's not like we were trying to hide it from him. He wants to do a voice call. I'll put on speaker. Wei Bai and Xian Yuman both nodded. Jingsheng, the top floor office of Hengfu Group. Song Lijia leaned back in his large executive chair. On the big screen in front of him, footage from the back kitchen of a Yanguo branch was playing. A greasy floor, scattered frozen meat and rotten vegetable leaves, and cockroaches crawling on the ingredients. He had watched the video a dozen times, getting angrier each time. Damn it. He had given Song Lishing face. He had just eaten at this restaurant 2 days ago. He never expected that Song Lishing was trying to poison him. The thought of the stupid shit Song Lishing had been pulling lately gave him a headache. Using dirty tricks when a marriage alliance fails. Who would dare to marry into the Song family in the future? That whole line of younger brothers and sisters below him might as well just go find some online celebrities or models. After all, they were born to mothers who were celebrities or models themselves. They weren't born from the same mother, so they weren't true brothers. Besides, Song Lijia was 35 this year, a good 10+ years older than Song Air. What kind of bond could there be? There was no bond, and Song Air was both stupid and malicious. Song Lijia was planning to kick him out and try supporting Song San, Si Wu, and Lu. There were so many of them. They couldn't all be idiots, right? Normally, he wouldn't need to personally handle such a trivial matter. But that idiot Song Air scheme was aimed at Xian Yuman's boyfriend, and the one who took action against Song Air was Hu Jingxian. Recently, the company jointly invested in by Hu Jingxian and Xian Yuman's boyfriend had started collaborating with Huaxing. And who was behind Huaxing? It was Xie Jiayu and Yu Wei, that ruthless couple who always drew blood when they struck. Song Air thought that Xie Jiayu and Yu Wei wouldn't support Xian Yuman's choice to date freely. And the result? Yu Wei had publicly endorsed that kid with the surname Wei. He had offended people from the Xie, Yu, and Hu families all in one go, and it even fucking involved Haiching University. With things having escalated to this point, if he didn't personally make his stance clear, there was no telling what kind of trouble would pop up later. The voice call connected. Hu Jingxian immediately greeted him. Brother, what's up? Calling me so late. Her tone was relaxed, making Song Lijia curse inwardly. Don't you know what this is about? Why are you playing dumb with me? Kids these days are really something else. They haven't even graduated from college. Yet each one is tougher than the last. What could I possibly want? Song Lijia chuckled. I'm here to offer my apologies, of course. Brother, are you calling about Song Lishing? Hu Jingxian asked directly. Please don't say that. He is him, and you are you. You're the entrepreneur I respect the most. I hope to learn a lot from you in the future. Song Lijia was truly impressed. Look at the Hua family's kid, so well-spoken. And then look at the bunch in his own family. What a worthless lot. I think it's I who should be learning from you all. After some back and forth, Song Lijia got straight to the point. I won't beat around the bush. You all know my family situation. No matter what his faults are, Song Lishing's surname is still Song. Once his restaurant is hit with a scandal, the entire Hengfu Group could be affected. How about this? I'll have Song Lishing shut down Yingguo voluntarily. And whenever you, Miss Xie, and CEO Wei come to Jingcheng, I will personally host a dinner to apologize. Hearing this, Hu Jingxian looked at Xian Yuman. Xian Yuman shook her head, then pointed to herself. Alas, I'm easy to talk to, but Brother Song, you know I'm not the only one who was offended in this matter, Hua Jingxian sighed. The methods were too dirty. It nearly destroyed the life's work of a group of young people. To be honest with you, Jiang Xiang was prepared to jump off a building to prove his innocence back then. Sigh, I had to coax and console him, terrified that a life would actually be lost. Even after things cooled down, I was still shaken. Brother, tell me, if this company, Lingxi, hadn't involved Siem Yuman, don't you think Jiang Xiang would have died in vain? Song Lijian knew it. For Hua Jingxian to use such a devious tactic, she must have coordinated with Siem Yuman. That girl, Siem Yuman, looks like a fairy, but her heart and methods are just like her parents. And Hua Jingxian, calling him brother with every other word, but the things she was saying were not pleasant at all. Jiang Xiang didn't die, did he? Besides, these people react so fast. In just one night, the public opinion completely shifted. As for who handled the PR this time, Song Lejia, being an internet user himself, understood at a glance. Siem Yuman's boyfriend, Wei Bai, who runs a tech company with one hand and an entertainment company with the other, mobilized 300 marketing accounts overnight. The overwhelming technical analysis was impossible to miss. Thinking of this, Song Lejia wanted to curse Song Air again. Fucking idiot. Didn't gain a single thing, just managed to offend everyone. Xian, I remember you have an uncle working in Africa, right? Song Lejia changed the subject. Hua Jingxian guessed his intention and replied, yes. Song Lejia chuckled. The African market has been doing well recently. There are many Chinese people over there, too. I think we can bring our to Xia's cuisine, like hot pot, to Africa. Hua Jingxian was quite satisfied with this plan, but she didn't respond, looking at Siem Yuman again. This time, Siem Yuman glanced at Wei Bai, who was sitting beside her, listening intently. Wei Bai hesitated before nodding. Siem Yuman nodded as well. A smile appeared in Hua Jingxuan's eyes. She said, the African market can't be easy to break into, can it? Song Lejia cursed the little fox in his heart, but since he had already planned to send that idiot Song Air far away, he said straightforwardly, to properly develop the Xia's cuisine, how could it be done without 10 or 20 years? Hua Jingxian, oh my, that sounds like hard work indeed. Song Lejia, the young man himself likes the restaurant business. What's that saying? Passion can outlast the long years. Hua Jingxian almost laughed out loud at his words, but she held it in and said seriously, brother, your vision is too grand. I must treat you to a meal some other day to learn from you. Song Lejia, how could I let you treat me? I'll be the host. We siblings can get together for a good chat. In less than 10 minutes, the call ended. The two of them, in just a few words, decided Song Air's future. After hanging up, Hua Jingxian was in a great mood. Song is brilliant. They took one step back, canceling the plan to expose him. The Song family took 2 steps back. Yingua Hot Pot would be shut down, and Song Air would be thrown out to Africa. This plan was a happy ending for everyone. Except for Song Air, of course. I have to say, Song De truly is someone who keeps his younger siblings firmly under his thumb. In the future, when she takes control of the whole corporation, she'll have to learn from Song De. Raise crooked the ones who need to be, and exile the ones who need to be exiled. This is the way to a prosperous family. Siem Yuman was also satisfied with the plan Song Lejia proposed. Trash needs to be thrown far, far away. Wei Bai, as an onlooker, witnessed student Xie and Hua Jingxian doing something bad. Objectively speaking, it counts as bad, right? But everything has a cause and effect. If Song Air hadn't played such a dirty hand, would Sister Xian and student Xie have gone this far? Since the cause and effect are clear, and the grievances are distinct, how could this be considered doing something bad? This is clearly a deeply satisfying affair. Student Xie, what a good person. After this was over, Hua Jingxian lingered for a few more minutes before going home, leaving Wei Bai and Siem Yuman at home, ready to get some rest and recover, so they could make their 8 a.m. class tomorrow. Siem Yuman's way of recovering was to laze around in Wei Bai's arms. Wei Bai's way of recovering was to hold his student Xie. The two of them curled up on the sofa, scrolling through their phones, completely idle for the moment. As the power couple of overachievers, they were rarely in such a state. Was this perhaps the zoning out phase after everything had been resolved? Wei Bai thought, this is a bit like a moment of sagely calm. After a while, he overturned that feeling. He felt a bit drained of strength. This wasn't quite the same as that sagely calm. He looked down at the person in his arms. Just like him, student Xie was half lying down, scrolling through short videos. Once a person starts watching short videos, they will keep watching short videos. How long this keep watching would last was uncertain. Wei Bai suspected that in just these 10-odd minutes, his mind and body had been poisoned by the short videos, which was why he felt so listless. Student Xie, how about we watch a movie or an anime? Wei Bai suggested. Simp looked up, her eyes a bit dazed. Watching videos is fine. You can even learn things. Wei Bai, what did you learn? Simp, the latest super tutorial on Taobao flash sales for getting 19 off 20. Wei Bai. He felt even more drained. Something seemed off. These symptoms were a lot like a fever. Maybe I should find a thermometer and check. Just then, Simp suddenly turned over to face him, her tone urgent. Why do you look so pale? You've suddenly lost all color. As she spoke, she reached out to touch his forehead, her voice quick and anxious. You're burning up? Wei Bai had just guessed that he had a fever. However, judging by the weakness in his body and the pain in his back, he didn't think it was serious. It's probably a low-grade fever, he said. Low-grade fever? Simp's brows furrowed immediately. But you're burning up. She got up at once, ran a few steps to the wall of cabinets surrounding the television, and pulled open a drawer. She didn't have a habit of keeping medicine on hand. Wei Bai had bought all of these. She rummaged around and found a mercury thermometer and a digital one. Wei Bai leaned against the sofa, feeling his temperature rising. It was probably a low-grade fever just now, but not necessarily anymore. He rarely caught colds or fevers. He hadn't caught a chill recently, nor were there any nasty flu viruses going around. How could he suddenly get a fever? As he was thinking this, he saw classmate Xie run back with a thermometer in each hand. Let's try both, Simp said softly, as if coaxing a child. She raised the digital thermometer gun to Wei Bai's forehead. Beep, 38 degrees. She then tucked the mercury thermometer under Wei Bai's arm, glanced at the time, and then bent her knees to sit down beside him. How did you suddenly get a fever? The girl murmured, her tone filled with distress and worry. Wei Bai smiled. A fever is the body's way of fighting. In most cases, it's beneficial, right? Simp was a little annoyed, but her voice was soft. You're so uncomfortable, and you're still calling it beneficial. Was he that uncomfortable? I didn't think so. If anything, it was classmate Xie, with a gun in one hand and a stick in the other, who looked ready to pick a fight with the pathogens. But the pathogens were something only he could deal with himself. A fever can inhibit the reproduction of pathogens. The flu virus, for example, has a harder time replicating in a 38 degrees Celsius environment, Wei Bai said with a straight face. A fever can also enhance the activity of immune cells and promote the body's repair processes. Simp, oh. She gently took the mercury thermometer from under the arm of his loungewear. 38. 1 degree Celsius. She held the red line up for Wei Bai to see. It's only been 5 minutes, and it's already gone up by 0. 1 degrees. Wei Bai. It could also be a discrepancy between the thermometers, right? Simp stood up immediately. This time, she quickly took out ibuprofen and Inxiao Jiedu tablets from the drawer, placed the medicine on the coffee table, grabbed a glass, and went to the water dispenser to get a cup of 40-degree warm water. Watching her bustle about, Wei Bai smiled and said, I don't know if it's a wind cold or a wind heat type of cold. Let's just go with the ibuprofen. Compared to when he first started feeling unwell, his back and entire body were now aching. It looked like he was in for a high fever. But even with a high fever, it would probably break by morning. It had always been like this for him since he was a child. A fever would last a day at most. Hearing Wei Bai's words, Simp immediately picked up the ibuprofen box, read the instructions carefully, and took out 4 small white tablets. Then, with the medicine in one hand and the glass of water in the other, she came close to Wei Bai. Open your mouth. Wei Bai obediently opened his mouth, drank the water, and took the medicine. After swallowing the tablets, there was a faint bitter taste on the tip of his tongue, but his heart felt sweet. He smiled. It's just a fever. No need to be so tense. Simp, I'm not. Wei Bai. But you clearly are. Simp held up the glass, her voice gentle. Have a few more sips of water. Wei Bai drank most of the water in the glass from her hand. Siam Yuman turned and placed the glass on the table. When she turned back, she saw that Wei Bai had actually stood up. She hurried over to support him. Wei Bai? Classmates, yeah, I can walk. I can even run. Siam Yuman, you have a fever. 38. 1 degrees. You're very hot, and you look very uncomfortable. Wei Bai? Fine. He was indeed very uncomfortable. The medicine hadn't kicked in yet. He felt he might already be at 38. 5 degrees Celsius, and the high fever was rapidly draining his strength, making him feel a bit weak. But how could a man admit he was weak? Not even when he had a fever. And so, Wei Bai weakly made his way back to the room. Siam Yuman pulled back the covers for him, arranged the pillow, and helped him lie down slowly. Then, she suddenly sensed something was wrong, and her brow furrowed. Wei Bai, what's wrong? Siam Yuman slowly squatted down, reached her hand under the covers, and grabbed Wei Bai's loungewear waistband. Yeah, classmates, yeah. Where are you putting your hand? I have a fever, you know. You can't be that depraved, can you? Wei Bai expressed his resistance with his eyes and actions. At this moment, he would absolutely not yield. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. What Siam Yuman wanted to do was met with some resistance. Her brow furrowed deeper, and the strength in her hand increased. Wei Bai clutched his waistband, resisting with all his might. No, no in every sense of the word. Take them off. Siam Yuman's tone left no room for argument. Wei Bai, I won't. A firm, decisive rejection. I absolutely cannot give her any hope. How can you be comfortable with your clothes on? Siam Yuman questioned. How is it not comfortable with clothes on? No, his head wasn't clear. He was almost led astray by classmate Xie. Comfortable? What's there to be comfortable about? Is comfort what he needs right now? It's rest. Wei Bai met classmate Xie's bold words with silence. After an unknown amount of time, Siam Yuman sighed, her voice turning gentle again. If you don't want to take off your pants, then let's take off your shirt first. Take off my shirt? Why take off my shirt? So you can poke my abs? He's a patient right now, a patient with a 38. 5-degree fever. No way, not taking anything off. Wei Bai, is that really necessary? Siam Yuman, failing to persuade him, leaned over and started unbuttoning his shirt herself. Be good and take it off. Wei Bai raised a hand to resist. Just then, he heard the second half of her sentence. Behave, otherwise, you'll be uncomfortable when you sweat. I'd underscore at. Oh, so, it was that kind of uncomfortable. My bad, classmate Xie, I misunderstood you. No, how could this be a misunderstanding? Is he usually a person who lets his imagination run wild like this? No, definitely not. It must be because of the fever, making his head a little fuzzy, right? But there was still one more question. When you have a fever, is it more comfortable to have your clothes off and on? Wei Bai didn't know, but with classmate Xie's help, he was now successfully stark naked. Siam Yuman leaned over, gave him a gentle hug, and then left the room. Soon, she returned, carrying a stainless steel basin filled with warm water, a towel draped over it. Huh, do we have a water basin at home? Wei Bai thought the basin looked a bit familiar, but he felt like he had never seen it in a bathroom before. Siam Yuman blinked. It's the salad bowl. Wei Bai? Wow, I wouldn't have even recognized it if you hadn't said so. Siam Yuman knelt by the bed, soaked the towel in the water, wrung it out, and then gently wiped Wei Bai's neck, face, and forehead. Watching her wrist as she held the towel, seeing her focused gaze and actions, Wei Bai felt as comfortable as if he were soaking in warm water, as if the discomfort and pain from the fever had vanished. The warm, soft dampness on his skin quickly turned into a cooling sensation. Wei Bai let out a sigh of comfort. Then, he realized the towel was moving. From his neck to his chest and abdomen to Wei Bai was not okay at all. Although wiping the whole body with a warm towel is indeed a very good and common method of physical cooling, he was not mentally prepared for this at all. Besides, aren't you supposed to focus on wiping areas like the armpits and the crooks of the elbows? Is it necessary to wipe certain places? Yes, classmate Xie's movements were very gentle, and he was indeed quite comfortable. But, sigh, this whole thing. Siam Yuman was very thorough, and she was careful to avoid sensitive areas. She had just asked an AI. When using a warm towel for physical cooling, the sensitive areas are the chest, abdomen, the back of the neck, and the soles of the feet. These areas are sensitive to cold stimulation, and wiping them can easily cause discomfort such as diarrhea or an abnormal heart rate. As for the other parts, of course, the hotter the area, the more it needed cooling. Following the direction of his blood vessels, Simp wiped slowly. Feeling a little better? Simp asked softly. To be honest, it was very comfortable. But, sigh. His heart was a complicated mess, but the words that came out were simple, much better. As soon as he said it, Weibai saw her small dimples slowly bloom. Ah, he really must be muddled by the fever. How could classmate Xie have other intentions while he was sick? She just wanted to make him feel less miserable. At Simp's insistence, Weibai took his temperature twice more, once with an electronic thermometer and once with a mercury one. 38, 4 degrees Celsius and 38. 5 degrees Celsius still a 0. 1 degree discrepancy. There really is a 0. 1 degree discrepancy, Weibai said. Simp's delicate eyebrows furrowed again. How'd it go up instead of down? It's not good for it to drop too quickly. Weibai took a sip of the warm water classmate Xie brought to his lips and said, although the temperature hasn't dropped, I feel much more comfortable after being wiped with a wet towel. Simp sat on the edge of the bed. Then let's continue. Weibai, we don't have to keep doing this. Seeing that classmate Xie had already picked up the towel, he quickly added, wiping too much can make you catch a cold. As these words fell, classmate Xie's movements indeed hesitated. Weibai added another sentence. Let's sleep early tonight. I should be fine after a night's sleep. Simp immediately laid his pillow down. Good boy, sleep now. Weibai lay down with the momentum. Classmate Xie, come lie down with me. Simp hummed in agreement and lay down beside him. Weibai had no intention of sleeping at all, and now that he felt a bit more comfortable, he just wanted to talk. This fever came on without any warning. It's quite strange, he said. Simp rested her head on one hand, tilting it to look at him. At the end of April, before Jiangxiang's incident, you weren't feeling well, you had no energy. Weibo smiled. Did the warning signs come out early? He had no energy back then, and the fever is only showing up now? Isn't that a bit ridiculous? Simp straightened his quilt. Swizwa told me before that she caught a cold before her college entrance exams, with a runny nose and sneezing the whole time. It got better right before the exams, but as soon as they were over, the runny nose and sneezing started again. She had just suspected that Little Turtle's current situation was the same as was back then, and now she was even more certain. After hearing her, Weibo thought about it carefully and felt that it might really be the case. Stress-induced? A surge in adrenaline and cortisol, Weibo said, directly activating a fight-or-flight mode and suppressing the symptoms of illness. Simp was actually a little angry. After Jiangxiang's matter, you immediately went to Beijing to negotiate a collaboration. It wasn't until the collaboration was settled and you came home and completely relaxed that the tension finally eased and your body dared to get sick. Her tone was very calm and gentle, but Weibo could sense the simmering anger she was trying to suppress. Classmate Xie, you're right. Weibo immediately promised. I've been too busy recently. Now that the crisis has passed, I will definitely exercise properly. Simp was so angry she wanted to hit him with a pillow, but she couldn't bring herself to, so she could only bite her lip and glare at him. I thought you were going to say you'd reduce your workload. Weibo smiled. This is a crucial time for negotiations, so I really can't reduce it. Besides, work makes me happy. To be more precise, the sense of accomplishment from work made him happy. It was like beating a difficult level in a video game. Every stage was a struggle, but passing it felt incredibly rewarding. Simp actually knew. She knew Little Turtle liked to work, or rather, Little Turtle liked to do the work he enjoyed. He especially loved the process of waiting for a song to become a hit after writing a good one. Just like now, he was waiting for the moment in June when his thesis would be published, a series of public relations strategies would follow, and Lingxi would completely enter the public eye. She couldn't stop him because this was his passion. Then we'll go for a morning run on the weekends, Simp said, just like before. Not just a morning run, Weibo laughed. We'll also play badminton and do some strength training every few days. Simp, I'll crush you when you're better. Weibo. Classmate Xie, you'd say that to a sick person? How cruel. Simp snorted coldly. Go to sleep, good night. Perhaps due to the side effects of the medication, Weibo's consciousness soon sank into darkness. In other words, he fell asleep quickly. Simp looked at his side profile, her fingers slowly tracing his features in the air. The rise and fall of his brow, his eyes, the bridge of his nose, and the gentle, handsome shape of his mouth. Finally, she drew a little turtle with a round head and a round body. The little turtle was a very persistent little turtle. The little turtle liked to climb over mountains, crawling toward the sun. Sleep, sleep, little turtle. I will climb over the mountains with you, to the place you want to go. Seeing that he was sound asleep, Simp lightened her breathing, slowly got up, and gently picked up a stainless steel basin to replace it with a basin of warm water. She soaked the towel, and afraid of waking him, only wrung it out before placing it on his forehead. After a few minutes, she took it off, soaked it in warm water again, wrung it out, and placed it back on his forehead. She repeated this action, she didn't know how many times. Then she set the electronic thermometer to silent and slowly brought it close to his forehead. 7 degrees C. His temperature had come down. A small dimple gradually bloomed in the darkness. Waking up, Weibo felt refreshed. Without even needing a thermometer, he knew his fever was gone. It was just that he had sweated a lot, and his body felt sticky, so he needed to take a shower. He looked beside him. Classmate Xie was still asleep. She liked to sleep on her right side, her body curled up in an S shape, her right fingertips unconsciously clutching the edge of the pillow. When she slept, her breathing was steady and gentle, surrounded by her unique cold, woody scent. Weibo liked to watch her sleep. The more he looked, the softer his heart felt. After staring at the sleeping beauty's face for a while, he got out of bed quietly. After leaving the room, he checked the time. It was only 6:30. But he had gone to bed at 9:30 last night and only woke up at 6:30 this morning, so he had slept for quite a long time. After taking a shower, Weibo felt even more refreshed and comfortable. Peeking into the room through the crack in the door and seeing that classmate Xie was still fast asleep, Weibo went to the kitchen to make breakfast. After having a fever all night, he was craving something like rice noodles. Weibo took out 2 tomatoes and 3 eggs from the refrigerator and made scrambled eggs with tomatoes in 10 minutes. Later, when classmate Xie wakes up, I'll cook some noodles, the tomato and egg noodles they both love. After making the tomato and scrambled eggs and tidying up the kitchen, Weibo went back to the room. To his surprise, classmate Xie was still asleep. Although classmate Xie had always loved to sleep, didn't they go to bed at the same time last night? Why wasn't she awake yet? Since they had an 8 a.m. class to catch, Weibo leaned over and gently patted her bottom, which was hidden under the covers. Classmate Xie, time to get up. Did I hear something? Simp slowly opened her eyes. As consciousness returned, she asked, is your fever gone? Usually, her first words after being woken up would be, what time is it? But today, classmate Xie's first question was whether his fever had gone down. Had she been worried about him all night? Weibo's heart melted. He leaned down and hugged her. It's gone. Don't worry. Hurry and get up. I made tomato and egg noodles. During the first 8 a.m. class, after returning from the May Day holiday, Weibo was full of energy and radiant. With his eyes half closed, Heroine asked, Brother Bai, didn't you work every single day of the holiday? How are you still so energetic? Is that even logical? Heroine, had slept for several days, yet he was still this tired. Pan Kong, sitting next to Heroine, heard him and added in a serious tone, the more you sleep, the sleepier you get. Work more, and you won't feel sleepy. Yeah, right? Heroine flopped his head onto the desk. I'm just going to sleep through this first period. But as soon as he put his head down, he sat back up, took out his tablet with an air of resignation, and opened the online course that Shui Yunxin had set up for him. Why was his life so hard? To be stuck with such a ridiculously competitive group of roommates. One of them worked overtime for the entire holiday, another spent every day in the dorm editing his precious videos, and the third did nothing but run to the library all day. Was it even polite for them to be such tryhards? Didn't it make him look completely out of place? He was a famous internet celebrity, for crying out loud. Fine, I'll study. Okay. Heroine muttered to himself, his eyes still half closed, listening to the lecture in a complete fog. Few people in the class were as idle as Zhou Yin, especially since the Monday 8 a.m. class was discrete mathematics, a foundational course for computer science that provided theoretical support for subsequent courses on algorithms and databases. In short, it was an important class that one had to pay attention to. Wei Bai positioned himself as a future manager with technical skills, so he placed great importance on his specialized courses and was listening quite attentively. After all, his personal standard wasn't just to avoid failing, but to build a solid technical foundation. During the break, Zhou Yin took off his headphones and posted a promotional poster and registration link for the school badminton tournament in the class group chat. Brother Bai, hurry up and register. Wei Bai glanced at it. The poster was well designed, and the information was clearly presented. The High University Youth Cup University Badminton Challenge, divided into two stages, college selections and the university competition. The college selections were from May 24th to May 25th, and the university competition was from May 31st to June 1 ST. The registration deadline was May 12th TH. Categories included men's singles, women's singles, men's doubles, women's doubles, and mixed doubles, with each person limited to one event. Each college would select 3 teams/players from each category to advance to the university competition. The tournament would follow the official rules of the Badminton World Federation, and the champion, runner-up, and third-place winners would receive certificates of honor, custom high university medals, and prize money. After reading the details, Wei Bai decided to register. However, he wasn't planning on signing up for doubles, but for mixed doubles. Of course, before registering, he had to ask for classmate Xia's opinion. Little Turtle, shared link. Little Turtle, mixed doubles. In or out? Classmate Xia in. Little Turtle, I'm registering then. I'll sign you up too. Classmate Xia hum. Classmate Xia, you're not feeling unwell? Little Turtle, nope, the fever is completely gone. Classmate Xia, that's good. Wei Bai quickly completed the registration. Next to him, Zhou Yin saw his actions and asked happily, finished registering? Men's doubles, did you sign me up too? Wei Bai, huh? I registered for mixed doubles. From the way Zhou Yin said it, did he just assume they would play men's doubles together? When had he ever agreed to that? He had no memory of it. Zhou Yin, then what am I supposed to do? Wei Bai, men's singles? Or you could find another partner? Zhou Yin said indignantly, fine, I'll play mixed doubles with my Yuan. Oh, that's great, Wei Bai said. This made Zhou Yin even angrier. Great my ass. With Yuan skills, he'd probably be knocked out in the first round. Unable to sign up for men's doubles with Wei Bai, Zhou Yin was sullen. He remained that way until classes ended for the day. On the way back to the dorm, he bought an ice-cold Coke, and only after the first sip did his mood improve slightly. Where's Chow? Zhou Yin looked left and right. When did he disappear? Pan Kan smiled sheepishly. Just now, when you were buying your Coke. He ran into Song Liusi. Zhou Yin, who had just managed to calm down, felt his anger rising again. Chower left with Song Lizi? Pan Kong replied. He said there's no time like the present and went to confess. Zhou Yin felt something was off. Doesn't Chower always have to prepare meticulously for his confessions? If he's so casual this time, won't Song Lizi get angry? I don't know, Pan Kong said honestly. I saw Chower buy a bottle of the saw milk tea. I guess it's for Song Lizi. Zhou Yan's eyes widened. No way. Wouldn't that make Song Lizi furious? Pan Kong asked. Why would she be angry? What's wrong with the Psalm? It's fine to buy it normally, but this is a confession. Zhou Yan was a bit confused. What got into Chow? Pan Kong scratched the back of his head. I don't know. Brother Bai, you must know, right? Zhou Yan looked at Wei Bai. Wei Bai spread his hands. I know, but I'm not telling. Zhou Yan was getting anxious, but he also knew Wei Bai's temperament and stomped his feet in frustration. You might as well have said you don't know. Wei Bai said, oh, then I don't know. Zhou Yan grumbled. When Chower gets back to the dorm, I'll ask him directly. Just a few minutes after the three of them returned to the dorm, Ning Buqiao came back. Why so fast? Zhou Yan was surprised. Chower, are you even capable? Wei Bai's expression turned strange. Wasn't Zhou Yan's question a bit too ambiguous? However, it was clear that Ning Buqiao didn't misunderstand. Not very, Ning Buqiao laughed. I was rejected again. He was so happy even after being rejected. Could Shower have some strange, masochistic tendencies? Zhou Yin remembered what Wei Bai had just said. I know, but I'm not telling. And, ignoring Ning Buochao's strange state, asked directly, Shower, why did you go confess with just a milk tea? Ning Buochao pulled the Assam out of his backpack. You mean this? Zhou Yin said. You didn't get it to her, right? It would be weird if you had. Ning Buochao was unconcerned. Just right, I can drink it myself. Shower, something's not right with you. Zhou Yin circled Ning Buochao several times, deep in thought, and finally came up with a possibility. You're not trying to make Song Lizi angry on purpose, playing hard to get, are you? Ning Buochao's eyes curved. No. After a pause, he continued, I just want to speed things up a bit. Zhou Yin pouted. I shouldn't have had any hope for you. Why speed things up? They must have reached a consensus that Song Lizi would agree after the 99th time. The thought of having a daughter-in-law like Song Lizi in the future made Zhou Yin feel sick. In the future, Shower had better not bring Song Lizi to eat with them. Otherwise, Zhou Yin, would rather disown this son. How many times is this? Wei Bai asked. Ning Buochao, Kus. Wei Bai said nothing and started distributing the pastries he had brought back from Beijing. Willow crisp, date paste rolls, and sticky rice rolls with soybean flour. Zhou Yin wasn't originally interested in Beijing-style pastries, but as soon as Wei Bai opened the box, the sweet, rich, yet light aroma captivated him. Chapter 431, Alumni Story. It smells pretty good. Zhou Yin took a bite of a Willow crisp, and his expression immediately changed. With his cheeks puffed out, his speech was muffled. This is delicious. Where's it from? It's definitely not from one of the famous places. I've tried all of them, and they're much worse than this. Ning Buochao and Pan Kong were also exclaiming how delicious the pastries were, completely different from the Beijing-style pastries they had eaten before. They're not store-bought, Wei Bai said lightly. The auntie at classmate Xie's mom's house made them. The phrasing was a bit convoluted, but Zhou Yin and the others understood. Zhou Yin choked, not on the pastry, but on Wei Bai's words. Listen to what he was saying. Zhou Yin had a reasonable suspicion that this guy had brought them pastries just so he could say that sentence. Pan Kong was a straightforward person and expressed his shock honestly. Brother Bai, you went to Siem Yuman's house? Wei Bai, yeah, I had 2 meals there. Zhou Yin viciously stuffed a whole sticky rice roll into his mouth. Isn't my sister Man's family wealthy? Didn't you face any difficulties or anything? Wei Bai, you want me to have faced difficulties? Zhou Yin thought about it carefully. He didn't want that. He also knew he couldn't change his habit of having a sharp tongue. Forget it. Forget it. Zhou Yin took the half-eaten sticky rice roll out of his mouth and continued to eat it slowly in his hand. Consider yourself lucky. How can a person's luck be so good? How can it be so good? The sticky rice roll is so delicious. I want to eat more after finishing one. Let's have another piece. While chatting and eating pastries, Wei Bai saw a new friend request on WeChat with the note, Zhou Mingyuan, Propaganda Department of the Party Committee of High University. Propaganda Department of the Party Committee? What for? Wei Bai wondered, accepting the friend request. As soon as it was accepted, Zhou Mingyuan got straight to the point, expressing his hope that Wei Bai would participate in the Alumni Stories interview series. Alumni Stories? Wei Bai had heard of it. It was High University's official interview program. His older brother, Wei Song, had been on it and had even sent the video to the family group chat for everyone to praise. But didn't this program only invite outstanding graduated alumni? He was only a freshman. Could this teacher have gotten the wrong person? Wei Bai tactfully expressed his confusion to Zhou Mingyuan. Zhou Mingyuan said he hadn't gotten the wrong person. He was looking for him. Although he wasn't an alumnus yet, Jiang Xiang, who would be recording the next episode with him, was. Besides, with the situation, he wasn't really suitable for the student series, which was all about what competition students had participated in and what honors they had won on campus. You'd better sit at the alumni table. Those weren't Zhou Mingyuan's exact words at the time, but after Wei Bai translated them in his head, that was the gist. Recording a 2-part episode with Jiang Xiang. Doesn't that mean introducing Ling Si? Do it. I have to do it. Wei Bai chatted with Zhou Mingyuan a little longer. The man invited him to come with Jiang Xiang to the Party Committee Propaganda Department office before Wednesday to discuss the ideas and content for the interview. After asking Jiang Xiang, Wei Bai scheduled a meeting with Zhou Mingyuan for 1:30 p.m. on Wednesday. After setting the appointment, his spirits were lifted. Another boost for Lingxi's marketing matrix. Now, it was really, all was ready, all we need is the east wind. Overjoyed, Wei Bai started humming unconsciously. His happiness was impossible to hide. The whole dorm could see it. Zhou Yin wanted to ask, but he had a feeling that if he did, he would just suffer another critical hit. So he kept his mouth shut and tried his best to hold back. This time, it was Pan Kong who asked first, because his desk was right across from Wei Bai's, and Wei Bai's smug expression was in his full view. His way of asking was also very simple. What's got you so happy? Wei Bai? Oh, nothing much. The university's party committee propaganda department just invited me to record alumni stories. Alumni. Zhou Yan's head shot out from his bed. Doesn't alumni refer to people who have already graduated? Besides, the people who record alumni stories are so impressive. The last one was Chai Yun, the Olympic badminton gold medalist. Pan Kong realized, so that video of Chai Yun was called Alumni Stories. Is that the point? Zhou Yan stretched his head way out towards Wei Bai. Bro, you're definitely going to talk mainly about Mu Chao culture, right? Put in a good word for me. Put in a good word for me. I'm the most profitable influencer under Mu Chao culture. Wei Bai, Mu Chao has a total of 2 influencers. Zhou Yan, don't worry about that. Just put in a good word for me. Put in a good word for me. Wei Bai expressed his inability to help. The university wants to feature Lingxi. I was invited along with Jiang Xiang. Zhou Yan's eyes widened. Is Lingxi really more impressive than Mu Chao? That thing hasn't even earned a single cent yet. Actually, Wei Bai also felt that Lingxi had yet to achieve success in the conventional sense and didn't meet the standard for being featured on alumni stories. But on the other hand, it also showed that the university had great vision. Furthermore, although the previous issue with Jiang Xiang had been clarified, it had still left some negative impact. Presenting Lingxi as a positive case study at this time would also help to eliminate the negative buzz, right? Wei Bai felt that these two matters were definitely related. But what the university was thinking wasn't important. What was important was that this was a good thing for Lingxi, and that was enough. Lingxi is more meaningful, Wei Bai said. Zhou Yan's head quickly retracted back to his bed. A few seconds later, it popped out again. If it's ever Mu Chao's turn, don't forget to include me. Wei Bai smiled and agreed. All right. Although Wei Bai was also quite proud of Mu Chao's achievements, given High University's way of doing things, Mu Chao probably wouldn't be invited, would it? Zhou Yan didn't expect Wei Bai to agree so readily and was both surprised and delighted. Chao, I'm feeling it. Quick, film me. I'm going to sing those years on my bed. Ningbo Chao, why those years? Zhou Yan, because I just learned this song in class today. Ningbo Chao didn't say anything else. Afraid that Zhou Yan would lose his inspiration, he picked up his phone and started filming. Wei Bai gave a thumbs up to their work ethic and continued to work amidst Zhou Yan's heart-wrenching singing. His main work at this stage was divided into 2 parts. First, on the Lingxi side, he needed to communicate with Jiang Xiang and Yu Guang to continuously optimize their cooperation plan. Second, for Mu Chao, he had to write songs whether he had inspiration or not, especially for Ms. Wu. Ms. Wu was very picky, and trying to fob her off with a cliché pop song would earn him a scolding. Wei Bai didn't want to be scolded, so after a year as a composer, his knowledge of music theory had progressed by leaps and bounds. At this very moment, listening to Zhou Yan sing, Wei Bai was suddenly struck by inspiration and wrote down a melody on his computer. 11:30. Little turtle, how about this melody? Xian Yuman didn't reply. After a while, she sent a voice message. Weibo opened it and listened. It was Xie's soft humming. It was beautiful. So beautiful that he felt a little intoxicated. Sorry, Ms. Wu, this song seems to suit Xie better. At noon on Wednesday, Jiang Xiang came to the university to have lunch with Weibo. After eating, the two chatted about work in the cafeteria for a while before walking together towards the administration building. Afraid of disturbing the teacher's lunch break, they waited at the door for 2 minutes, planning to knock at 1:30. Gan Wangchun, carrying a thermos flask, was walking towards the party committee's publicity department. From a distance, he saw 2 tall figures standing at the door. One was unfamiliar, the other he had seen before in a PowerPoint presentation. Gan Wanchun walked over with a kindly smile. "What are you doing standing here? Mean?" As he spoke, he pushed the door open directly. Wei Bo and Jiang Xiang exchanged a look. "Wei Bo, it seems this must be the teacher Zhou who contacted me about the entrepreneurship interview." Jiang Xiang, "Isn't this vice principal gone? He was the vice principal when I was a student here, and he still is. Not a couple, so naturally not much chemistry." Neither of them understood the meaning conveyed by the other's gaze as they followed him into the office, one after the other. Just as they entered, they saw a male teacher who looked to be in his early 30s stand up from his desk. "Wei Bo, Jiang Xiang, is that right? I'm Zhou Mingyuan." Wei Bo looked at Zhou Mingyuan, then at the teacher sitting at the desk drinking tea, and realized he had mistaken the person. Jiang Xiang had already started greeting the only two teachers in the office. "Principal Gan, Teacher Zhou." Wei Bo froze for a second, then quickly followed suit with his greetings. Gan Wanchun took a slow sip of tea and nodded. "Seat." Zhou Mingyuan pulled two chairs over to his desk. Wei Bo and Jiang Xiang sat down, facing the desks of Zhou Mingyuan and Gan Wanchun. Zhou Mingyuan, however, didn't sit down. Instead, he looked at Gan Wanchun. "Principal Gan, you see, these are the interview subjects for our alumni stories that I reported to you about. Wei Bo and Jiang Xiang. Jiang Xiang is an outstanding graduate of our university, and Wei Bo is a star entrepreneur among our current students. Their company, Lingxi, is doing very well and has great potential." As he spoke, Zhou Mingyuan felt a little uneasy. Gan Wanchun had asked him to arrange this interview before the holiday break. But Wei Bo was, after all, a current student, and Lingxi's scale and reputation didn't quite meet the usual requirements. The leader's attitudes could change from one day to the next. Who knew what Principal Gan was thinking now? Perhaps he felt this whole endeavor was superfluous. While Zhou Mingyuan was feeling anxious, Gan Wanchun put down his thermos and looked at Jiang Xiang. "Regarding that matter last time, your advisor came to see me personally." Jiang Xiang was stunned. When he spoke again after a long pause, his voice was somewhat choked with emotion. Thank you, teacher. "I spoke with your advisor," Gan Wanchun sighed. "It's clear you've put in a great deal of effort and perseverance on your academic path. And of course, you've encountered some difficulties. Since you're back in the country now and developing your career in Haicheng, you should communicate more with your advisor. I believe that both he personally and the university would be very willing to continue providing you with support." Jiang Xiang expressed his shame and offered more words of thanks. Having made his point, Gan Wanchun finally turned to Wei Bo and smiled. "Student Wei Bo, it's not often we see an entrepreneur as young as you." Wei Bo smiled back. "I'm just riding on the coattails of Senior Jiang. Gan Wanchun Tutklet, you are both young talents." After saying this, he looked at Zhou Mingyuan again. "Teacher Zhou, take this opportunity to gain a deeper understanding of the specific difficulties and needs that student entrepreneurs face, and think about in what areas we can provide support and help." Zhou Mingyuan nodded quickly. "Okay." After a few more minutes of casual chat with Wei Bo and Jiang Xiang, Gan Wanchun left the publicity department office. The atmosphere in the room instantly relaxed. According to Wei Bo's observation, it was mainly Teacher Zhou who had relaxed considerably. After Vice Principal Gan left, Teacher Zhou took out a first draft of the interview and handed it to Wei Bo and Jiang Xiang. "Take a look at this. What do you think of this approach? Feel free to share any opinions." Wei Bo read it carefully. The draft listed the questions they would be asked and also had preset answers to guide the direction of the interview. The draft was actually very well written, showcasing Lingxi's entire entrepreneurial journey through the interview format. But Wei Bo felt that some parts could be improved with a few changes. Seeing that Jiang Xiang had no suggestions to offer, Wei Bo thought for a moment and spoke directly. "Teacher Zhou, regarding the section about Senior Jiang's period of hardship, the interview method is fine, but the direction of the preset answers is a bit different from what I had in mind." Zhou Mingyuan smiled. "Does it need to be even more tragic?" "No," Wei Bai shook his head. "I don't think we need to sell a sob story. As far as I know, whether it's Senior Jiang or the other members of Lingxi, they were all very optimistic during their difficult times. It was precisely this optimistic and upwardly mobile spirit that supported them in getting to where they are today." Wei Bai thought back to when he first joined the Innovation Society. Yu Heguang, Lu Chong, and the others would burn incense and kowtow to all manner of deities, and even perform a dance from a novel. They couldn't bear to eat a large bowl of noodles, so they'd steep instant noodles in the lid of a thermos, saying how delicious it was as they ate. They would even share the leftover broth. At the time, such scenes were actually joyful. But the hardship they revealed was far beyond what the single word miserable could describe. Zhou Mingyuan was stunned. If we don't sell a sob story, the effect of this story will be completely different. It's not that we won't sell it, but we'll sell it in a different way, Wei Bai said. We don't need to specifically sell misery. If we present more optimism, contentment, and happiness, don't you think the effect might be even more tragic? Zhou Mingyuan was a writer by trade. Hearing him put it this way, he also smiled. All right, then I'll make some adjustments. As he spoke, he sighed inwardly. This student was no ordinary person. To truly understand the essence of writing about sorrow through joy at such an age. After chatting with Zhou Mingyuan until after 3 o'clock and confirming the direction of the interview and the filming schedule, Wei Bai and Jiang Xiang left the party committee's propaganda department. As they were leaving, Zhou Mingyuan revealed that this interview had been proposed by Principal Gan. Wei Bai was a little surprised. After leaving the propaganda department, he and Jiang Xiang went their separate ways, one back to the company, the other to class. On the way to the classroom, Wei Bai was still thinking about this matter. Because in the school, Belle Songstress loves only me. Gan Wangchun was one of Zhen Hongshuan's benefactors at Haida University, providing him with a great deal of help in his school life and entrepreneurial endeavors. If Zhen Hongxian hadn't been so deeply in love with Suya, he would have married Gan Wangchun's daughter and become the principal's son-in-law in one fell swoop. However, the principal Gan Wangchun that Wei Bai saw today was calm and wise, completely different from the caricature in the book who would exclaim, "A dragon among men," upon seeing Zhen Hongxian and was easily shocked and idolizing. As expected, a novel is just a novel. It had been a long time since Wei Bai had thought about that illogical, trashy book. Thinking of it again now, he couldn't help but think of Zhen Hongxian. He wondered how that fellow was doing in prison, and whether he knew that Suya had long since moved on. Chapter 433. Classmate Xia. So frightening. The moment he thought of Zhen Hongxian and Suya, Wei Bai felt a sense of disorientation, as if from a different era. But it was just a fleeting thought. He didn't dwell on it or think too deeply. After all, they were two people who were now completely irrelevant to his life. He quickened his pace and found the classroom for his next lesson. It was a military theory class. By the time Wei Bai arrived, there were less than 30 minutes left. He entered through the back door, found a random seat, and sat down to read an email that Yu Heguang had sent him that morning. That guy was still in the capital. A huge amount of work was weighing on him, so he could only communicate with Wei Bai and Jiang Xiang through emails and video conferences. He always became particularly absorbed when working, and before he knew it, class was over. Wei Bai stood up and called out, "Old Zhou." Zhou Yin and Ning Buqiao immediately turned their heads, packed up their books, grabbed their badminton rackets, and headed for the back door. The next period was an elective. Wei Bai and Zhou, you're going to their badminton class. Ning Buqiao and Pan Kong didn't have a class, so they went along to play as well. Yuan told me they're going too, Zhou Yin said, overjoyed. Bro, go easy on me later, let me win. Shun Yuan's skills were so limited that she could barely return a shot. Sometimes she couldn't even serve properly, hitting only air. Zhou Yin had completely given up on the idea of playing mixed doubles with her and had signed up for singles in the school badminton tournament. But this didn't affect his desire to show off in front of Shun Yuan in the slightest. To look cool, he was even willing to throw a match. Especially today, as Shun Yuan had already told him she would be there to watch him play. Wei Bai found it amusing. It's always been a toss-up between us anyway. Zhou Yin started to get cocky. True that. Who am I, the Lin Dan of Haida, ever afraid of? Laughing and talking, the four of them walked towards the gymnasium. When they arrived, there were almost no spots left in the East Wing, but the West Wing was empty. This was because the East Wing was open for general use, while the West Wing was the venue for elective classes. Ning Buqiao and Pan Kong went to the East Wing to find a spot to play. In the West Wing, the class began practicing basic skills. Today's drill was footwork, side steps, cross steps, and shuffle steps. After just over 10 minutes, Wei-Bai was already a little out of breath. He really had been lacking exercise lately. Classmate Xia was right. Morning runs, night runs, the gym, badminton, all of it needed to be scheduled. After gradually warming up, Wei-Bai got into the zone. He pursued absolute correctness and seriousness in his practice. As his footwork became smoother and smoother, he also felt a sense of satisfaction. Zhou Yin could barely lift his legs anymore.